I first met today's guest years ago while I was travelling through Southeast Asia. Recently he reached out when he came to Copenhagen to catch up, and I thought absolutely. But this time I offered him a seat and a mic to share his tales. I knew he had some stories, but even I wasn't prepared for what came next. From South America to Southeast Asia to Oceania. Weed, shrooms, DMT, a polite boy turned feral traveller. Alcohol, drugs, love and adventure. Questionable decisions leading to life epiphanies. From sleeping in the bushes of Penang to shaking hands with the Prime Minister. And at his lowest, suicide called, but life rang louder. This is a story of chaos, survival and transformation, and it's one you need to hear in its entirety. This is TOMU, the open mic, unfiltered. Let's get fucking into it. Thanks for coming down.
You're very welcome.
Let's start from where it all started for you.
Well, I guess where does it ever begin? But I guess for me it was in South America. One of my good friends was trying to convince me to travel, but he said I couldn't do it with him. And that always disappointed me because I loved him to bits, but he always told me if I was going to go traveling, then to do it by myself. And I guess it's that cliche of finding yourself, but I probably did the opposite and lost myself, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I think I never really knew it would be for that long, so I guess the 3 months in South America, 4 months, so let's say, in South America turned into 3.5 years of traveling the world.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess it takes a hold of you, like, and you know, you've had experience of that, of being off the grid, I guess, and in your own world, and you forget about reality, you forget about family, unfortunately, and you just become, I guess the only way to describe it is selfish. Mm-hmm. But in terms of South America and where I started, I flew to Santiago in Chile. And when I first arrived, I actually arrived to the city in chaos. Okay. Half of it was burning, and from student protests. So as I entered the city, I just could see smoke everywhere. And bearing in mind, I was 23 years old at this time, first time away traveling by myself, and I was in shock.
Welcome to Peru.
Yeah. Well, Chile in that case.
Sorry.
Yeah. But so honestly, I felt lost when I first got there, and that's probably one of the lowest points I got to. Actually, was the first day.
Okay.
And if we were opening up and being honest, I generally cried myself to sleep that night.
Okay.
Which I never thought as a strong, or what I perceived as a strong person at that point. I wasn't.
What came over you to like feel like that?
I think it was the emotions of being away from family on the other side of the world, and kind of the realization of, oh wait, maybe this wasn't what I had expected, or what I was meant to do. I guess you question everything about yourself, and to be honest, I probably chose the wrong place to start with. It was a very quiet hostel. I was, by myself in a lots of bunk beds, and I was just like, oh, is this it? Is this what traveling is, to be lonely? And so I guess it kind of threw me in this deep end of being like, oh shit, this is me now, right? I've committed to at least 3.5, 4 months of this. Is this what every day is going to be like?
Yeah.
So that night was one of the hardest to come across that realization. But when I woke up in the morning, I was always, very positive and everything, and I just started walking the city and just exploring and doing the typical tourist kind of shit that you get up to when, you don't know what else to do. Mm-hmm. But I think after that initial crying yourself to sleep, it then became amazing. Every day was a new adventure. So I started to move around. So, Santiago I was only in for a couple of nights. And then I moved to a place called Valparaiso, which is an amazing place, and people might have seen it. It's famous for mountain bike / kind of city riding. It's covered in graffiti everywhere, and you just see these crazy YouTube videos of, Red Bull races flying down these streets. But even then, it wasn't so much the places that I was going. It was the people that I was meeting that were really giving me a buzz. Mm-hmm. And I guess that's when I started to kind of come out my shell and realize, oh wait, I can talk to people, I can be myself, and I can enjoy who I am, which is quite a realization to come up, because I was always quite introverted, I guess, or at least I'd see myself as an introverted person. So meeting, a couple of Canadian sisters there, and we got really friendly, as well as a few others, and we started making friends and then agreeing to meet up in a different place after a few weeks. So that kind of gave me an aim of being like, oh, well, if I can make friends with these people, then, you know, I can do it again and again and again. So I guess we just kept on traveling, and Chile was an amazing experience. You know, seeing places like the Atacama Desert, you know, the stars at night there are something phenomenal.
Yeah.
You can see the entire Milky Way.
Okay.
You know, and in the Atacama, I got pissed off red wine and you know, just fell asleep under the stars every night.
Yeah.
And I got so drunk one night, and it was so dry and so high up in altitude that I stained my entire lips purple from drinking too much red wine.
Fuck it.
And I guess that was my way of dealing with, I guess, being by myself was going to drink and making myself relax through that kind of, you know, easy going kind of thing to just, all right, everyone drinks around the world, so, you know, it relaxes you and everything else.
Yeah.
So for me, that's probably when, you know, that aspect of things really started, or was like, you know, falling back on drinking to really socialize. But that wasn't the main part of that travel trip, and probably later on, you know, I go from one extreme to the other of, all right, maybe drinking a little bit too heavily when traveling, to, you know, falling back on stuff that's a lot heavier.
Yeah.
But for now in South America, I was just seeing amazing, beautiful places all the time. I crossed over into Bolivia, and we saw, you know, all these volcanoes, the blood lakes. You know, you've literally got flamingos, which is the weirdest sight to see 5,000 meters above sea level when you're, you know, suffering from altitude sickness. To see a flamingo walk by is you're wondering if you had something more than red wine.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I remember in my head, kind of, that's when I first started to open my eyes to the world and seeing things that are around me. And crossing over the border from Chile into Bolivia was a real eye-opener. We went through, I mean, the border was literally a line dug in the sand, quite literally.
Okay.
You could jump over from Chile to Bolivia and back to Chile. There was no sort of border control. Yeah. It was literally just a trench.
It's easy visa run.
The easiest, I think. And, you know, we've done plenty of visa runs together, and we know how difficult they can be and the shit we can get ourselves into on them. But I got pulled into this little, I guess you can call it a house, but it was more of a shack. And I remember to this day seeing the biggest bag of cocaine that I've ever seen in my life just sat on this border in Bolivia.
How much for that?
Maybe. Yeah, that was my first question, was how much at that point. I'd never tried the drug at the time. Yeah. So for me, it was, what the hell's going on? Yeah. Like, I wasn't expecting to see that at a border crossing. And I don't think it was something that was confiscated. I think it was just something that they had. Okay. And it was probably about a kilo of coke.
Fuck, right.
So to see that early on in the travel, you know, kind of was like, oh wait, this isn't England. This isn't, you know, the small little town that I've grown up in. Yeah. It was quite an eye opener.
It's a whole new world.
Yeah. But I guess I pushed that to one side and then was like, all right, whatever, that's life. We crossed through places like the Salt Flats, and, you know, for 3-4 days we were up around 5,000 meters, you know, suffering from horrendous headaches because of the altitude sickness, but also seeing the most beautiful things you'll ever see in the world. It's a beautiful country. There was a moment where, and probably one of the most spiritual places I've ever been is in the Salt Flats, and you go to an island in the middle of the Salt Flat, and it's been there for, you know, I guess it was still around when there was water there. And there's an 1,000-year-old cactus there, and to think that something can last for 1,000 years and it's just there, and you walk past it like it's nothing.
Is it just like on its own?
Oh, there's just like, I mean, there's hundreds of cacti everywhere, but it's just that, you know, the tour guide that we were with was like, oh yeah, this cactus has been here for 1,000 years, and it makes you feel a little bit small. And I've come across it many times since then, you know, and you know, it kind of makes you feel a little bit worthless in this world when you do see something, you know, as a plant that will outlast you and will outlast everyone that you've ever known. Yeah. But seeing the sunrise and the moon set over the Salt Flats creates this kind of crazy purple haze, is what I'd call it.
That's awesome.
The feeling that you get when you're there is spiritual, and I was never a spiritual person at that point, and I probably wouldn't still call myself a spiritual person, but something in the air just changes at that moment in time, and it's almost like you're on Mars, or, you know, in Jupiter. It's a bizarre scene,
alien landscape.
Yeah, it is. It's really quite unique, and it's one of those places that stays in my mind out of, all the countries that I've been to was the salt flats. You can go there and you can have a bit of a play with the perspective of, the landscape and create all these, really unusual pictures. But for me, it was
Instagram.
Yeah. And now it's probably really popular. At the time, I'd seen it once, but now you see, any Tom, Dick, and Harry has got a picture. For me, but it wasn't really about the pictures. It wasn't about that image. It was how I felt when I was there. And I think this kind of continued when I was going, and probably when that ended was when I decided to come home. But anyway, you continue to go, and you see these crazy things through Bolivia, and it's a country stricken with poverty, right? You've literally got kids working in silver mines there, and I think those mines produce 70% of the world's silver.
Okay,
but the kids are the ones that are digging out of the ground, so us Westerners can have it around our fingers. Which is a little bit of a sobering thought, but at the same time, that's the world that it is.
Would you say that was the first time maybe your eyes were open to the world, as in what's going on behind the scenes? Or
yeah, exactly, because Chile is a very developed country, right? And then you go from there. It's quite European, and that's why I started to start there, because I knew it was going to be an ease to go in. But then you go into Bolivia, and it's like everyone's taken away those ideas that you had of life before that and thrown it on its head.
Okay.
You got women, which are, I think, the strongest, physical women that I've ever seen in my life. They'll be carrying things that are the size of me up a steep hill, and it's, like I say, 5,000 meters above sea level, and I can't even, have half a cigarette without passing out. So to see that kind of lifestyle is something totally we never experienced, and I don't think I've experienced that level of poverty since. But that, for me, it was all new. It was all an adventure. And yes, I was quite distraught, I guess, by seeing and hearing some of the things about it. But I was so mesmerized by this new experience that I think it was just, oh, well, that's it, let's learn from it. But, let's not get too down and be naive. And also, I guess that typical Western view of being like, all right, this is not my life, you just deal with it.
I'll go back home.
Yeah. I'll be home in 3.5 months, and
chippy dinner.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I got the easy life. My mum will cook me dinner, and I'll be happy.
Yeah.
But it continues from then, and obviously your mind keeps changing and constantly around that. But it is quite a sobering thing to see. People in that poor. But again, kept on continuing from there. Again, took the experience, didn't really dwell on it too much. And I got to La Paz. And again, this was a city in Bolivia, which is, again, stricken with poverty. And I actually I burst one of my eardrums there, getting stuck in a miners protest. And I think that's when I really knew I was out of my depth.
Yeah. How did you burst your eardrum?
So they were letting off, I can only... small explosions, but rather than fire explosions like bangs, it must have been something they use in the mines, but they were letting them literally off on the street,
right?
And you could feel in the hostel I was staying at before I went out, you could feel the vibration on the windows. From that, it was that strong. And again, for me, I've just come from Chile, where they've been, the place has been burning down, into Bolivia, where they're letting off these, really loud, like kind of explosion bangs.
Did you start to think it might be you?
It's like, is it just following me around? Is this normal, or is it just me? It just ended up being like an unlucky sod, like I've been. Typical me. I was like, oh, well, this looks interesting. Let's go across and see what's going on. And got too close to one of these bangs. And my full right ear, I couldn't hear out for about 2 weeks, really.
Okay.
I guess that shook me up a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
Again, I was only 23 at the time, and typical privileged English boy just going across there and then just getting fucked over by South America continuously. But I kept on meeting amazing people there, and this is the time that I then met up with these 2 Canadian sisters again. And they were like, oh, well, we can go to the Amazon from here. I was like, fuck yeah, that sounds amazing. Like, I want to go to the Amazon. Like, why wouldn't I want to go there? So we looked into it, and it's a really long bus ride, but we can get there. It's something like a 20-hour, 30-hour bus ride. That was what it was advertised as, but you're like, oh, that age, you're like, oh, fuck it, I'm here, let's do it.
Yeah.
Little did I know we had to go along Death Road to get there. Now, I'm not sure you've heard of Death Road before.
I've seen it on a few documentaries.
Yeah, I mean, I think even Top Gear or something does like a weird little like thing of it, but it's nothing like it, it shows on the TV. And I was hanging out the back of, literally half hanging out the back of a bus just to make sure I had an escape route in case this thing went over this 1,000-meter cliff.
I'm jumping out
first.
like
this, this bus is rocking and rolling the entire time, and it's dark and outside. You don't know what's there, but all you know is that a week before, 62 children went over the edge.
Oh, okay.
The brutal reality of it is people die there every day, and you might be one of them. But then also the Amazons at the end of it. So you're like, fuck this, I'm going to go for it. Like, I want to see...
Risk v reward.
Yeah, I want to see howler monkeys and pink dolphins. So maybe looking back at it is one of those stupid moments that you take on. So I'm in the back of this bus and I'm freaking out a little bit at this point. My anxiety is going all over the place. And one of the Canadian sisters hands me a tablet and goes, oh, this helps my anxiety. So I pop one of these tablets and I just fly out the window in terms of, my headspace. And I've never really, again, I take a bit of MDMA when I was in university and smoked a bit of weed, and I'd never taken like prescription medication or anything like that. And it had been a while since I had. So I just started floating, and, that anxiety soon kind of just washed over, like left me, and I just chilled out a little bit.
Do you know what it was to this day, or?
I think it was just a Canadian prescription of something. So it wasn't particularly strong. I think it was almost just like I say, anti-anxiety medication. But for
just
me,
it's
like
sedative.
But for me at the time, that was strong enough to knock me out. As we go forward in the journey, it took a lot more. But,
we'll get there.
Yeah, but for now, it was a new experience for me, and I realized, oh wait, this can work. And maybe that pushed me towards other stuff in the future, but. That sense of clarity or a calmness that I did have was quite unique, and to be literally on the side of a 1,000-meter cliff and you just chill is quite an unusual experience, or it was for me anyway. So when we finally got to the end of this long ass journey, which I forget how long it was, but it was between 20 and 30 hours, and we get to the Amazon.
As advertised.
Yes, pretty much. Yeah, it definitely wasn't. And I knew I had to come back as well. and that was the worrying thing for me is, all right, I've just done this, but I've got to do it again. And I nearly died from a heart attack on the way, so what's it going to be on the way out back? So turned to the Canadian girl and was like, make sure you have those on the way back.
I was going to say, ask her, how many tablets have you got?
Yeah. Because there's definitely one for me, and I'll take it now just in case. You get off the bus, you kiss the ground, and you're all good to go. We then continued into the Amazon, but what I want to highlight from there beforehand, and which really triggered my imagination, was ayahuasca. Mm-hmm. Now, I hadn't heard of this drug before. Yeah. Or, whatever you want to, I don't know if it's classed as a drug when it, for what it is, but I met this hostel owner, and he was telling us, he was like, oh, I'm having the best week. We're like, oh, why are you having a great week? She's like, oh, well, my wife's just finished doing an ayahuasca trip, and she's the most loving that I've ever seen her in about 10 years. And so that kind of really fascinated me, and he was telling me all these amazing benefits to this natural drug that people have been doing for thousands of years in the Amazon, and the spiritual things around it, and all of the different retreats that you can do over there. And I know many people that I met further along on the trip had done that sort of experience to get over addictions like heroin and other things that trouble people. So it's kind of a way of I guess cleaning the soul, as a lot of people say, and getting over these problems that they face. But then again, I was interested, but I didn't go and do the spiritual journey. I was still, again, like I'm saying, this fresh white boy in South America. You don't step too out of line. Yeah,
stay in your lane.
Exactly. Yeah. So we got into the Amazon, having an awesome time. Doing all sorts of stuff, from searching for anacondas to panthers and building rafts along the Amazon. It's just a spectacular experience.
So was it a group excursion, or was it like just you three going out there?
It was just the three of us that went, or were mostly together. There were other kind of little smaller groups in this area, but it was mostly a tour guide of the three of us, and we were staying in the kind of the same little kind of I say the Amazon, but they built this thing that looked like a sort of well-being retreat. To be honest, It was actually quite. It was a lot better than I expected, and a lot better than some of the city places I'd stayed in. So I was really surprised. This is amazing. So that experience was really unique, and you were just having an amazing time because, like I say, you were seeing the Amazon and exploring all these beautiful places, doing treks through the jungle. That was fully off the grid. I mean, I think we took about a 4-hour riverboat journey just to get to where we were staying, never mind the bus journey that we were taking. So we're really off the grid, and I wouldn't even be able to tell you on a map where we were, if I'm
So you
being
couldn't
honest.
point out where you were in the Amazon.
No,
you were somewhere.
I was just there, you
Yeah,
know.
well,
And I mean, the
yeah.
Amazon's fucking huge as well,
Yeah,
right?
exactly,
so, like,
yeah.
you know, where the hell am I? Who cares? I'm just having a good experience. So this guy took us all over. He even took us to a place called the Pampas, which, you know, maybe that narrows it down a little bit, but that was a little bit further away from where we were originally. And you literally, you go in and you boat, and these pink dolphins pop up by the side of you, and these things are almost endangered, I think, at this point, if not, you know, on the verge of extinction. So to see things that you only ever see on a David Attenborough show on, you know, right next to your boat is something quite amazing. Yeah, exactly. I think that was, as much as I've seen these amazing places before, that was like, all right, okay, I made the right choice, I'm doing the right thing, and maybe I have to put up with nearly dying on a bus, but, you know, it's worth it. These crazy experiences and that adrenaline that you get is only heightened then further by the amazing things that you see at the end of that journey. And I think I learned to love the journey as much as I loved getting to the destination I was in. And that first crazy bus ride was as much as an eye-opener. It was of what could be if you do take that leap and that risk and to see these amazing things.
Do you think that set you up for your future traveling then, when you were out there making decisions, or, you know, when you had that sort of high from experience in the Amazon, and then did that carry on into your decision making?
I think it was that rush of trying to continually find something that gave that energy to me and gave that, I guess, the adrenaline of where you are, but also the beauty that you can see. It was always like, oh well, if this is here, what's next? You know, and when you're traveling, people are constantly telling you, oh, go here, go here, go here. It's not about where you are at that moment, it's where other people have been and where you can go next. And I think that gives you this constant energy, and you kind of live off other people's experiences. You're like, oh well, if they had a great time there, then let's go there. So after the Amazon, apart from being bitten alive by, you know, mosquitoes and everything else, it was a really unique, amazing experience. So we headed out from there and back to La Paz along Death Road and got home, and I kind of, again, kissed the ground when I got off the bus and was like, all right, I made it. I'm back to the crazy I see that, you know, nearly caused me to be deaf. So from there, and we'd been eating pretty average food the entire time. So when we got off La Paz, I think we had internet for the first time in a couple of weeks, and we found this little restaurant, I guess, and we walked in, and everything's dirt cheap over there. Even for a traveler, it costs you nothing, and we ordered everything off the menu, literally. And it was the best meal I've had, and I think it was just because I was eating shit for the entire time. I mean, literally, this thing was like cow tongue and all sorts of stuff, right? But it was cooked amazingly. But also the food in Bolivia ain't good, right? I mean, you know, it's just quinoa, some broth, and a bone in the bottom of it, and that's your meal for the evening. And I think I shat myself every night for 2 months straight. But you eat what you can, and you can't really complain when people can't eat around you. So, you know, I think for that was a real eye opener. It was the food that these people were eating was the norm. And when you say quinoa, some guy listening to this and who's going to superfoods right now and buying some, it's not the same thing. Trust me.
I was going to say quinoa's quite popular now. Isn't it?
Yeah. I never heard of it again since then. Before then, but now, you see it everywhere. It's the classic superfood thing. Yeah. By that point, I continued through Bolivia, and a few things of note. But I guess again, there was nothing really that stuck out apart from the danger around every corner, even if it was just getting into a dodgy, you know, taxi which started filling with smoke through the gearbox and all sorts. And you just constantly come across these weird experiences when you are traveling. But I think I didn't really care. I was just like, all right, okay, this is the norm now.
I was going to say, it becomes your norm.
You go from wondering which petrol station to use to fill up your car in the UK to, I'm going to make it to the petrol station. And
different priorities.
Yeah. So your mindset really quickly changes, and then you just start to enjoy every little moment, because it's, without sounding drastic, you're not sure at that moment when you are in that sort of danger and these little, you know, aspects of your journey that which is the next beauty you're going to see next. After that, you head into Peru, and Peru's a beautiful country, but it's still kind of finding its feet, I think, in a lot of places. And I didn't really enjoy the southern part of Peru too much. Did a little bit of partying in Lima, and but again, it was probably until I got to I would say like Sucre, which is where you do the whole Machu Picchu kind of adventure style thing, that I guess I found cocaine.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
So this is the start, really.
Yeah, this is when and Sucre is a weird place, and I'll tell you a couple of stories about Sucre that were kind of a strange introduction of me of drugs abroad, I guess. And I went out to this party, to this club, I guess, and I was sat in the back of this taxi, and this English guy who was in front, don't know his name now, and it's irrelevant, I guess, but he was absolutely wired to the moon, been drinking heavily. And I was just, by that point, I had a few beers. I was all right, but just going to the club, I wasn't, at that fucked up stage yet. And he's sitting in his taxi to go into the taxi driver, cocaine, like thinking he's Pablo Escobar and like create all these like weird things. And it's South America, everyone's got cocaine on them. Like, unfortunately, it's it's everywhere. So the taxi driver gives him the cocaine and he throws it in the back at me and goes, "Oh, try this out, see if it's any good." And I was a little nervous kid, white boy in the back, just being like, okay. So I tried this cocaine and be like, "Oh yeah, it's really good."
You had no idea.
I had no idea what I was testing at all. I didn't even know it was cocaine.
It's good sugar.
My teeth went numb. I was like, "This must be what happens." Yeah. So we get out of this cab. He was like, "Oh yeah, it was really good shit." I was like, "To be honest, mate, it was the first time I took cocaine." And he was like, "What?"
Yeah.
He was like, "Yeah, that was my first time." He's like, "Why were you testing it then?" I was like, "I don't know. You asked me to." So then,
stop it.
Yeah.
Why are you blaming me?
Yeah. I was like, I don't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
It's just like, you told me to do something, I did it. I'm trying to make friends here.
Yeah, just try to make friends. Yeah.
So we got to this club, and I've never partied so hard in my life. I don't think. Like I say, I've taken MDMA before, but it's a different sort of high, right? And cocaine, it's a hell of a drug, like that classic thing. I started partying all night, had an amazing time, and that kind of was like the introduction to it, I guess. And I hadn't even got to Colombia yet. So the warning signs kind of went off there originally, but I was like, I can't keep going down this road of taking lots of these heavy drugs. It's not me. I'm the good boy. But I guess it kind of opened my eyes to being like, oh wait, I can have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
This, and like no one's here to stop me. My parents aren't here to say no.
Friends.
Friends even. Or even a partner at the time. I recently broke up with her, so I lived quite a straight and narrow life up until that point. Another experience I had, and I'm not sure if you've ever come across this, is weed milk.
No.
Travels, yeah.
No.
And I'm not coming through it since.
Weed milk.
And there's a reason for that. Because it tastes like you're drinking, all I can describe it as like gone off milk with like shavings of weed inside.
Okay. Sounds delicious.
Yeah, it was god awful. Absolutely god awful. And how we got there is I was with some guys and they love to party, but they, when I say party, they literally take out mental health insurance for when they get home because they like to party so hard. And looking back at it, when the first time someone told me they take mental health insurance out, I laughed and was like, "What the fuck are you on about? Why would you do that?" And now I should have done the same thing.
now
I see it, but hindsight's a fantastic thing. But anyway, I didn't take much notice to that, and they were saying, "Oh well, there's this place, it's a shop that sells drugs in Sucre." So it's like, well, let's go there. Let's see what it's like. So we walk into a shop and it's literally selling souvenirs. And you got a kid and his mum there, like as a tourist, going in there, and I'm like, this can't be where we buy drugs from. Like this is just a normal place. So we start like looking around and be like, ask the guy behind the counter, can we buy some drugs here? And the guy just kind of looks at us in a bit of a weird way and then takes us upstairs. And I'm like, this is, again, another warning sign. And why am I getting myself into these stupid situations just to buy something that I'm not even that into at that time?
Yeah.
So we go over to this attic and it's like someone who's taken a heavy acid trip has designed this place. It's just mushrooms and unicorns and shit everywhere. I mean, it was well done, but it was still like an acid trip within...
Decorated on a trip.
Yeah. That's the only way I can describe it. It's almost like an acid trip met an opium den in the sense of like it had, all these like cushions everywhere. And then it had a bar in the corner. And on the corner of this bar was 2 glasses of milk. And it was like, well, this isn't kind of the normal thing you'll see him, and I'm coming here to buy drugs, not milk.
Yeah.
So we buy some weed off this guy, and he's like, "Oh yeah, just like smoke a bit here, because to make sure you're okay." And I guess they're just testing you if you're some cops or something.
Yeah.
Even though again I was a English man in South America, I think I was definitely not a policeman.
Yeah.
So we ask him, well, what's with the milk? And he's like, oh, it's weed milk. Like, it's a normal thing.
As if you're stupid for asking.
Yeah. And so me and this guy are like, oh, well, how much is it? And he gives us a price. It's not much. So we're like, all right, we'll try it. Take a taste of it. And it's just like someone's left some breast milk in the corner of a room for 2 years. But it's vile. It was almost like, separated.
Yeah. Were you that polite British man who's said it was delicious?
Oh, yeah. Oh, this is the best milk I've ever had. Yeah. Fuck me, I was high.
Yeah, really.
Honestly, I think it was the combination of not smoking much up until that point, and then just consuming whatever was in that milk. was a unique experience, and ended up going to a restaurant and just sat there just laughing my tits off the entire time at absolutely nothing, because just got the giggles. And that was a thing.
Was
just
that your
been
first
sat with
experience?
sat with these two guys, just been giggling after having the weed milk. And I'd smoked before then, but I don't think I've ever had a high up until that point. I like that of just weed. So I guess I really kind of fell in love with that high of being like, those giggles and those like that relaxed feeling again, going back to the taking the pill on the bus. So soon after that, again, didn't really think too much about it. It was just kind of continuing testing things out here and there, but nothing too heavy. It wasn't the fact that I was going out every night and taking lines of coke and everything. It was just a kind of experimenting here and there and just kind of saying yes to everything. So then from there, I will go and do Machu Picchu, and like it's Machu Picchu. Everyone knows what it looks like. You've seen it a million times on the TV, and there's not much to talk about in that regard. I mean, all I would say is the town below it is like going to a Swiss chalet. It's really bizarre. You expect it to be like everywhere else in South America, yet there's so much money there because of the tourism. It is like walking into Switzerland. It's that well developed, and all the streets are clean and beautiful buildings, cobbled streets, and you're like, wait, where am I? And you literally walk 5 hours through a jungle and you come across this place. It's bizarre, really, really bizarre. But that was an amazing experience. I'd say to anyone to do it. But it is cloudy as hell when you get there. Don't expect it to be. You see much because you get
visibility.
Visibility. I mean, I think I waited there for like 5 hours and saw maybe about 30 seconds of like clear blue skies, and actually seeing Machu Picchu to what it truly is. Don't expect to go there and
see sunshine and
it's not like you
blue
see
skies.
Pretty much. So I think after that I headed really far north, up into a place called Mancora. And this is where I really started to smoke and really kind of get into it. Mancora is a beautiful little beach town right on the Pacific Ocean. I met a German guy there, and he was like, oh, you can just buy weed from the counter. I was like, what do you mean buy weed from the counter? It's like, oh, the hostel just sells you it. You put it on your tab, and you just pay when you leave. I was like, that is extremely fucking dangerous. Like,
and convenient.
Yeah, and convenient. And the convenience the dangerous thing about it. And so these guys are just supply us with whatever we wanted for, and I was supposed to be there for 2 days, and I stood there I stayed there for about 9 days in total, just getting high every day on the beach. We used to walk down, picking up driftwood and then making a big fire, and this hostel had a pack of dogs, about 9 dogs they had. And the dogs would just follow us around everywhere, and I'm obsessed with them. So, all I'd want to do is get stoned, play with the dogs, and watch the campfire as the sunset. And it was absolutely perfect. It was beautiful as well. It was truly, truly beautiful place. But I think that was kind of when I was like, all right, okay, maybe I'm a bit of a stoner. Maybe I enjoy this side of life. And again, it was mostly just like smoking weed. It wasn't really too heavy, apart from the odd little experiences I'd had with heavier stuff.
Yeah, you didn't think you were hurting anyone or hurting yourself?
No, exactly. You're just there to have a bit of good time. Someone had just kind of only really just started smoking, apart from the odd bit of university. For me, it was like, like what harm am I doing lying on a beach smoking weed? Like, none at all. And I wasn't really even drinking that much at the time, because you were just floating around. But I met this amazing German guy there, and it's the only German that I've ever known to understand sarcasm, and the only German I've ever met since to understand it. And he was brilliant, one of the nicest guys I've ever met. And I spent a week with him, just getting stoned, going to restaurants, and eating too much, and then coming back and getting stoned again. But it was perfect. And I think that was when I was like, oh wait, I can get into this. I can be happy and content, just to kind of cruise around. But unfortunately, I had to then go, and I could have stayed there for another month, and I would have been happy, honestly. There was not a care in the world, and it's that classic, just switching off kind of vibes. And I'd been doing so much up until that point, seeing all these like crazy, beautiful places, but also every day was a new challenge of seeing somewhere else and visiting somewhere else and meeting new people, and I was just a bit exhausted. So I finally plucked up the courage, because there was a courage at that point, because I was just happy and content, and I would have, like I said, stayed there for the rest of my trip. But all I'd been hearing about was Colombia, and so it was like not just about the drug aspect of it, but about how beautiful that country is, and all the amazing places that you can go and see there. So I did a quick trip into Ecuador, and Ecuador's lovely, and at the time it wasn't suffering from all of the issues that it is now with gangs. But it still had a lot of beauty there, but I just didn't really fall in love with the country like I had with others. And at that point, I was like, all I want to do is go to Colombia. It's like, I've got 6 weeks left of my trip. Let's just quickly go through Ecuador, see what I need to, and then let's get into Colombia. So I arrive eventually into Colombia, into Cali, I think, was where I started. And again, at this point, I wasn't doing drugs and stuff too much. I just kind of was enjoying the city, seeing around. And then you get to that famous place of Medellin. Now we all know Medellin. I think most people have, obviously, where Pablo's from, and we have that idea of it. And I couldn't have been more wrong to begin with. It's a beautiful city, it really is, and it's a lot more developed than you think. Yeah, I think we all have this idea of Colombia as just being people walking around with drugs and guns and shooting each other, but it's nothing like that. Yeah, it really isn't, and it's doing a lot to change itself now. But even at the time, it was doing spectacular stuff. But every single taxi that I got into, or every single person I met, had cocaine on them. I was like, well, this is just normal then. Let's go for it. And to put it into kind of like it's not like you're even spending much on it. It costs you less than a drink to buy a bag of cocaine,
because it's so available.
Yeah, it's everywhere, literally everywhere. Every taxi driver would just be like, "Oh, do you want some cocaine?" Be like, "Yeah, sweet, I'll have some coke." So you just end up taking it every night. And I stayed in Medellin for 2 weeks, and I did cocaine every single night of those 2 weeks straight. And I was fucked by the end of it. Like I was partying until 7, 8 in the morning. I'd be coming home, and the Colombians would be going on their, morning commute. Yeah. And I was still grinding my teeth at that point. But then I kept on just waking up and doing it again and doing it again and doing it again. And I was like, I need to leave this place, because as much as, amazing time that I'm having going out partying with all these like beautiful South American girls and these, lots of fun people from the hostels and stuff, it was not sustainable. And I remember being sat in just some random toilet somewhere and looking at a bag of cocaine in my hands and just throwing it in the bin. And that's what you could do there, because it was so cheap. Like you didn't want to be caught with it, because that would cost you so much by the police. You have to pay off the police. Oh yeah. Like lots of my mates there like have to pay off the police just if they get caught with it. So I was like, oh well, I don't want to get caught with it. I'll just throw it away, right? And it's just like, it's like leaving half your pint on the table. It's no different.
I'll buy another bag.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there was no real issue to it. But I also realized, I was like, all right, fuck, if this is how addictive my personality can be, and what I can do to myself in 2 weeks, then what can I do to myself in a lifetime? It's slightly worrying. And I always knew I had a bit of an addictive personality, but that was when it really kind of showed itself to me, and how quickly I could change my mindset of being like, oh yeah, like fuck it, let's just do that, and not really, still not seeing the implications of the actions that I was taking. But I still continued from that point, but I took an ease. That's when I said, all right, okay, no more cocaine for this trip, because it was I wasn't seeing anything anymore. I was just going partying every night, and don't get me wrong, that's fun for a bit, but I knew to myself, I was like, this is not what I've come to South America for, and it's not me. So I managed to just stop it, and I was very happy at that point. I had 3 weeks left in Colombia, and I just was like, no more cocaine, just the weed. So from there I went to a place. I went to Cartagena, which is again fantastic city, really unusual. It's like a fortified city with these beautiful walls. It's all protected by it's like a World Heritage site. It's hot as shit, but it's crazy. You got all like these like beaches along the city's front, and There's a lot to do there, and a lot of like cool things to kind of go on a bit of an adventure. So I was like, all right, let's focus on the traveling again.
Yeah.
Let's go back to what I was here for.
Yeah.
See beautiful places,
Sightseeing.
take some pictures, and be a typical tourist again. Just stop partying for a little bit. And I stuck to it, and I did well for a while. From there, I went to a place called Santa Marta, which is known for all of its weed growing. Maybe not the brightest decision to make, but I knew that, right, as long as I stay away from the coke, I'm okay.
I'm gonna go from the coke capital to now the weed capital of Colombia.
Yeah, pretty much. And Santa Marta's, it has this crazy thing, a place called Tayrona National Park. And they still have local Aboriginals living in there, and you'll see these kids running around along the footpaths past you and literally wearing rags, but they're just jumping in and out of the jungle areas as you're walking past. So that was like really an eye-opener to like see people still living in this way, in like an indigenous kind of way of life.
Yeah.
And that's an awesome place to visit if you ever do get a chance, because it's kind of really off the grid, but beautiful beaches and beautiful landscape. But it was also one of those places that I've had many examples where I've nearly died, but that was probably one of the places where I nearly died, actually. I went on a hike by myself, and I got up to maybe halfway up this mountainside, and I was going to see where these indigenous people lived, and I slipped and fell into kind of a small kind of crevasse in between these rocks. I managed to hold on and didn't fall all the way down, but I lost everything I had on me at the time, apart from a bit of money. But all my water was gone. Everything in my backpack, that just a day pack that I took, was gone down this crevice. But I knew I was kind of halfway away from where I needed to go, and also halfway away from where I started. So
which way do you go?
So I went forward, obviously.
Keep going.
It's a fucking idiot, yeah. So I was like, there's got to be water up here somewhere. These guys live on water, and
they live on water.
Well, yeah, we all live on water. They're not going to have a 7-Eleven at the top of the hill, but they're going to have something.
There's gonna be no fresh cold Coke for like Coca-Cola.
Well, you say that.
Okay.
We'll get into that. And so I'm walking. I see nobody, and I'm getting really dehydrated at this point. I got cuts all the way down my legs from falling in this little mini crevasse.
It's not looking good.
Yeah, and like I honestly don't know where I'm going. And at this point, I'm just like, well, where is this place? Like, there's a bit of a path, but this path is up, like scrambling up rocks and everything else. And I might have been going the totally wrong direction. No one to see to give me like a drink, and I'm starting getting really dehydrated. Bear in mind, it's about 35, 36 degrees outside, and I've sweated everything out by that point. And I'm getting to that point where I'm just gonna like lie down and just wait for someone to find me, almost, because I was like that bad of a place, going head spinny, and you're just like, oh, like this is when you realize you're a bit of an idiot and you're out of your depth. But thankfully, I made it. Obviously, got to this indigenous town, and like I say, came across a stall selling Coca-Cola, Fanta, and water.
No way.
And I used, I think I spent probably the equivalent of about £25 on maybe free drinks, because they were just selling it to whatever they wanted. They could see I was about to pass out and die in the sort of corner.
Seen this dying white boy.
Yeah.
We'll sell that for a tenner.
I was like, I don't care if you take everything from me. I need to survive. So I just guzzled down as much as I could, and kept on going, and then started to have a good experience after I kind of got myself out of that shit. I generally didn't think I was going to make it up that trail because of how exhausted it was, how lacking of water I was at that time. And it just kept on going, and made my way back down eventually, and chilled out, and it was all good. But I think that was that moment where you realize you are out of your depth, and you are in that kind of, you can be self-induced. The other things were just bad taxi rides or bad bus rides, but that was on me being stupid, and like realizing like how stupid I actually am, really, and like I don't really know what I'm doing. So from there, someone told me to go into the mountain areas of Santa Marta, and they're like, oh well, if you like smoking, this is where they grow everything, and there's a hostel where you can go, and there's literally a weed plant outside of every hostel dorm. I was like, oh, that's bullshit. Come on. Yeah. And I've seen pictures of this place, and maybe some of you have, from Instagram, but they have these huge, what I could only call hammocks, but it's like all kind of roped together, and you can look out at this amazing valley, and it's about a 3-4 hour hike to get to the top of this mountain, and you can either do that or jump on the back of a moto taxi, which is just scary as shit. So I was like, we've had a fair experience on motor taxis and how sketchy they can be. Yeah. So I was like, I'm gonna walk this one.
Are you sure you want to walk this one?
Yeah. After that, I was like, maybe I should be walking this one, but I went for it anyway. And I actually came back twice, not to the same hostel, but back to Santa Marta, because of how much I love that area. And there was weed everywhere. I've never seen anything like it. Literally just weed plant after weed plant after weed plant. I got to the top of this hostel and I was like, can I buy some weed? They were like, oh, we're all out. I was like, what the fuck are you on about? You're all out. There's weed. I could see literally a weed plant there. Like, oh, we've just done harvest and like sold it all. I was like, oh, you fucking kidding me? Like, there must be somewhere that I could buy weed after all this effort of like hiking for hours just to have a smoke and see this amazing view. So I stayed there. I was like, I'm not going back down. I'm just going to stay at this hostel. And it was beautiful. I can't go back down now. I can't, forward on to Moscow or whatever they say. Yeah. But so I kept on chugging through and stayed at this hostel for a few days, and finally found someone who, sold me a bit of weed, and I was happy. I was just chilling in this area, and it was a beautiful experience. But it was when I went back the second time, and I was heading the way to this hostel, being like, all right, I'll have some this time, because I'd had like a bit of a break in the Caribbean island, and I had a bit more time, so I kind of came back again. And I met these English guys who were looking to smoke, so I was like, all right, I'll take you somewhere.
I'll take you on a hike.
Yeah. But as we were about to set off to this hike, this guy like pulls us over and he's like, oh, I've got somewhere if you want to stay here. And we're like, oh, well, it was getting quite late. We were like, all right, fine, we'll stay here tonight and we'll go up to the other place tomorrow, because we knew how far it would be. He was like, oh, do you smoke? We were like, yeah, that's why we come here. So he's like, oh, I've got a friend, just come with us and we'll sort it out. And we all start looking a bit like, all right, where are we going here, sort of thing. So we were like, oh, well, we'll send one of the English guys and we'll all stay around this kind of homestead place. And I'd say an hour later, this guy rocks back up, and we started to wonder where he'd gone at this point. It's like, oh, is it going to be one of those stories on the news where some guy gets taken by, kidnapped or whatever, ransomed? Because, you did hear it at the time. And he comes back with the biggest smile on his face that I think I've ever seen on a bloke. And he goes, oh, guys, you would have gave me, I think it's equivalent of £15. And we were like, well, yeah, we only sent you to get a bit of weed for the night. And he just whacks out this bag, and it's probably about 3 ounces.
Fuck, okay. 15 quid.
Yeah. Honestly, we can't smoke all this. We're here for a night. He was like, what? That's what they gave me for it. I was like, what? It's like, honestly, one of the biggest bags of weed I've ever seen up until that point. Well, it was the biggest bag of weed I'd ever seen until that point. And we were rolling 4 skins together and then just filling it up, and it was like the size of a Cuban cigar that we were smoking. But it's kind of like bushweed, I guess, where it's not like the stuff you get in England now or in other places where it just you have a few drags and it knocks you out, I guess.
Yeah, it's not
a bit more
skunk.
Natural. Yeah, yeah. Which is nicer in my opinion. After definitely. Everything I've tried, I prefer that kind of more chilled out high.
It's a mellow high, yeah.
Yeah. It's not as intense. It doesn't give you the paranoia or the anxiety. It just kind of, it's just natural. Mm-hmm. So we just got we just stayed at this homestead the entire time we were there. We didn't fuck up, we didn't go on that 3-hour hike. We ended up just running around getting stoned the entire time.
Good here.
Yeah. It's well, why would we leave?
Yeah.
So that was a really unique experience of you buy that much in London and God knows how much it probably costs you about £1,000, and then here it's they're literally giving it away for free.
15 quid.
15 quid for a few ounces was mad. I don't think I've ever got it that cheap anywhere since. But that was an awesome experience just because of, again, it was like a stoner's paradise. And the guy took us to a local barbecue place, and they literally would bring out weed on a platter for a starter. I was like, oh, well, this will get my appetite up for a barbecue. This is great marketing. Why is no one else doing this? Yeah. Right? Get stoned beforehand, then just spend all your money getting on all the food.
I'll have everything.
Yeah. And it was all going great. I was rolling a joint out of this platter, and I turn around, and the 2 owners of this place just throw a full pig onto the table behind me and start slicing the thing up. I mean, this thing hasn't been butchered or anything. It's just literally getting butchered in front of my face while I'm eating my meal.
But it's dead, right?
They've just killed it.
Right.
They've just killed it, but they start yanking all its, doing whatever they want to do with it. And I'm just like, this is bizarre.
From
But
farm to fork.
yeah, literally, yeah. It was taking that to the extreme. I mean, I know it was amazing barbecue, but I think I was just stoned off my tits. So I think anything would have been, good at that point.
The weed milk would have been good at that point.
The weed milk would have killed me at that point, I think.
Yeah, probably.
It was more weed than human at that point.
Yeah.
So, you get these like little weird experiences in certain parts of the world where these things are just normal, and you take that and stick it in the middle of London, you'd have 200 police around you. It's this kind of strange concept of place against drug taking or against what's seen as acceptable. And I've been a few places since where it is like that. Certain things are just accepted. You get it in places like Byron Bay, and there's a place called Nimbin, which is quite close to there, which again is just like a hippie town sort of thing. I mean, even in Copenhagen now, right? Freetown or whatever it's called, you've still got that aspect of, even within civilization or a normal civilization or what you want to call it, you can
have
still
that hippie community.
Yeah, I think it's everywhere. It's just in a lot of places it's more underground. But I guess that kind of got to the end of my South America trip by that point. I went to Bogota afterwards, and again I'd sworn off the coke at that point because I knew the impact that it had on me straight away. I just realized how addicted I could get to stuff. So I had a fun time in Bogota, and then flew home. And as much as I was a bit feral by that point, I guess, but I was nowhere near of what I could get to and what I did get to. And that was the end of my travels at that point. But I knew I wanted more. And it's like I said, back to this like addictiveness. It's that sense of having by yourself and the individuality that you get from being by yourself and exploring these places and meeting new people every day. And it's addictive, that just by yourself. So I went home for a few months, and I knew I wanted to meet a friend in New Zealand. So I had to get my visa sorted out for that, top up a bit of money working in a local pub. And there was nothing really too much of note at that point. I mean, I bumped into an old ex-girlfriend at that time, and she started kind of staring at me in the bar that I was working at and giving a lot of like vibes of like, oh, well, do you want to put this back together? I was like, fuck no. Like, after what I've just experienced, why would I go back to that?
I'm out of here.
Yeah. So I just ignored it. I was like, you don't know what I've just led for the last 3.5 months. Why would on earth would I want to go back to that?
No, definitely.
Which was a positive thing, right? Because I was in that relationship for 4 years, and it had done a lot of bad things to me in terms of jealousy on both sides, as well as, not really understanding a relationship at that young age.
So that was some sort of closure for you.
Yeah, I think that really did. As much as that trip taught me how to be myself, it really stopped whatever that person at that time and made me realize I'd made the right choice from having that short interaction of looking at this girl across the bar. I was like, well, I moved on from this, and I know what I can be now, and
I'm going places.
Yeah, I was like, fuck this. Even if it's down a dark hole now and then, I'm still gonna have more fun.
I'm still going somewhere. Oh, no.
Maybe to an early grave at that point, but I think it was. I was like, nah, there's more to this.
More to life than your small town.
Exactly. Yeah. So then I fly to Bangkok, and that's where I meet you. And Bodega,
Bangkok.
Yeah. That was and I think I guess as much as meeting Cameron at that point, we met a lovely bunch of people as well in that hostel, and it was really unique because I'd spent the last few months traveling by myself in South America, and then I just suddenly came across this group, and not gonna lie, a girl was probably the one that made me stay there initially. As much as I enjoyed Cameron's company, it was
no offense,
it's always a girl, right? It's always a girl.
Yeah, no, I get it. At that age, you're gonna pick the girl.
The girl with beautiful eyes and everything else, beautiful smile, and it's like, oh, well, I'll go the way she's going.
Yeah.
So I set about a plan, and she was like, "Oh, well, we're going to Cambodia next."
Well, the king had just.
I was going north, but I was supposed to be going north of Thailand, to Pai, and then across to Laos. So I was supposed to do the opposite journey that we made. I'm not sure if I mentioned this to you guys at the time.
No.
But I was like, "Oh no, I'm going that way." Yeah. I'm going to Cambodia.
Cambodia.
Yeah.
That was next for me.
Yeah. I've got this hostel booked there.
What hostel? Hostel too.
And the stupid things you do when you're in that mindset of besotted by someone at first sight. But anyway, so we created a cool group of people. Well, I don't think it was a cool group of people. We created a group of people of degenerates, probably looking back at it now.
It was a mix.
It was a mix of people. And again, I just started the traveling again in Southeast Asia. So I was like, all right, okay, let's keep away from the drug side of stuff and just enjoy and see lots of stuff. So,
Game plan, no drugs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we had a few wild nights in Bangkok, as you do, but I hated the city at the time. I don't know if you enjoyed it the first time you were there, but I hated Bangkok when we first got there.
No, I was I was quite happy to leave when we did. It was fun. Like the first couple of nights I remember was wild, and then I already knew I had some issues, so I realized I needed to get out of the city and go somewhere a bit more rural. But little did I know, wherever you went in Southeast Asia, there was something for you to get in trouble with. Yeah,
so snake whiskey and ladyboys everywhere.
Yeah, so it was it was good to get out. But then we ended up, where did we go? Siem Reap.
Yeah, first. So we crossed over the border, which is a dodgy. Was that the dodgy border? Or maybe that's into Vietnam.
No, I think the Siem Reap one into Cambodia. The first time we didn't really know what we were doing.
No,
we got told to go this way and that way, and then some guy said to follow him, and we all just followed this guy into a minibus. We had no idea where we were going, or who he was, or why he was telling us to get in there.
But there was like 14 of us.
Yeah, it was quite. Yeah, maybe close to that. Yeah.
So like, which for me was bizarre. I was like, and I questioned myself on it, to be honest, because the whole reason why I said I was going to Cambodia was to follow this girl. That sounds really bad. Not follow her, but you know what I mean.
Spend time
with that woman. And
he's not a creep, I promise.
Yeah. No, I am slightly normal.
Slightly.
But then the problem is, so she was with a friend, and you know they'd obviously got a little bit drunk when I had said, "Oh yeah, well I'll come with you," and just started inviting more and more and more people to come along. And I think that's when you and your friend Dane, but also our lovely friend Brendan from Canada and Braden. Sorry, not Brendan.
Sorry, Brendan.
Braden. Yeah, it's all the same, isn't it?
Yeah, he caught me at the end of the night. We came back, I think, and everyone had sort of retired to the beds, and he was sat there being Braden, and was like, "Yo, man, we're gonna go Cambodia. You want to come?" And then I was like, "Who's going?" And he was like, "Oh, Maddie." And I was like, "Okay, I'm coming."
Yeah. So you had the same mindset as me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was at first I was questioning whether this was the right idea, traveling with that many people, and I could just see it causing trouble. But again, you got to try something new, and I guess we had that sense of adventure, and it went really well to begin with. I think we went straight to Siem Reap and had a bit of a crazy time with the happy pizzas there. I mean, you can put two and two together what a happy pizza is, but I guess it was the heavy drinking and the partying aspect just kind of really kind of took hold of us, I think, at that point.
Yeah, Pub Street.
I think for me anyway, because that was as I got in. I think you'd been in Southeast Asia for a little while before that, maybe. Yeah. But for me, that was kind of the start of that trip. So I went, threw myself into it full on, and we started partying heavily. And I think I remember falling off, and we were speaking about this earlier, falling off the top of a bunk bed and smashing my face off the corner of a wall, and waking up the next day with no idea how it happened, and that was the joys of coming across Valium for the first time, which was kind of the story of Cambodia, which led to many of not just probably my mistakes but also yours. Yeah. And Valium was getting mixed with alcohol, and we were just blacking out.
Never a good idea.
No,
Valium and alcohol. Yeah.
And Valium's great fun just by itself, but when you mix the two, it causes a lot of trouble.
Yeah, it's deadly.
Quite frankly, I think it's we could have really fucked ourselves over a few times, I think, on that, and we were taking excess of amounts of it, and then you could literally buy it from the corner shop. So we, I guess, started getting a little bit too fucked up on that, and I think that's how I fell off the top bunk was just been mixing Valium with alcohol and then blacking out. And you coming down the next day while I'm laid by the pool sunbathing and being like, "What the fuck's wrong with your face?" And just having literally half my face covered in blood and not even realizing.
Walking around like everything's normal.
It was just normal, and I was fucked up. I didn't even look in the mirror the next day because I didn't even realize it. I felt nothing. So the drugs were still in my system, and I had no idea that just smashed half my face up and it was covered in blood until you had told me. And I think at that point we were like, everyone was doing it. And that was before when I came to the realization I was taking too much coke. There, I didn't have that realization until quite a while in. And I think it wasn't until a little bit later, which we can go on to, if you, unless you don't want to discuss it, of the incident we had when you fell down the stairs and into the pool, and everything else and around those lines. And I think that's really when I woke up to it.
Yeah, well, I had quite an experience, I suppose. Yeah, we spoke about it earlier, and I blacked out that much that the next day I woke up to you guys telling me that we were moving on, and I thought that we were moving on tomorrow because the day we just had, or I just had, was not even registered in my brain anymore.
Started yet?
I thought I was waking up the day that I had just done. So it was I can't remember much, so you might have to fill in more, but all I can remember is having some Valium and drinking, and my last sort of memory is floating on a rubber ring in a pool, thinking life was great. And then, little did I know that I fell down some steps and fell in the pool and flashed myself inappropriately to the hotel manager, not deliberately, but... And then even when I pulled my pants back up, my penis was still poking through my fly. So yeah, it wasn't my finest moment. No,
maybe not your worst.
Probably not my worst either. But yeah, I'm glad it opened your eyes. I'm glad it was a lesson for you.
Well, yeah, I think I kind of realized, I was like, fuck, if this guy's just forgot a whole day, and like others around us were doing the same thing. I'm sure Adam had the same thing where I think he even like forgot a couple of days.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit, we shouldn't be doing this. I think like, and it wasn't even so much the fact of, all right, we're forgetting stuff, it's the danger that we were putting ourselves in. And our friend was assaulted from getting dragged along the street on a motorbike, wasn't she? And had really bad like cuts all over herself, and it was obviously very shaken up. It was like, well, if that's happening to a sober, what dangers are we putting ourselves in when we don't even know who we are anymore? So I think that really kind of was like, all right, I need to ease off this whole Valium thing, or at least when I'm drinking.
And I think for me personally, anyway, that was after that night. I didn't touch the Valleys again.
No, you were good after that, actually.
I still had I still went and done the party, but after that I was like, I'm not touching that stuff, because
I think
it scared me that I didn't remember anything. Like the day was gone. That day did not happen, and
like we all black out, right? But we still have slight memories.
Well, we know what day it is when we wake up.
Yeah.
I didn't know what day it was. I thought it was still the day before. That was what completely fucking threw me, or changed, scared me.
And people just became zombies as well. You couldn't have a conversation with someone because it was like looking at these people's eyes looked like they were just I don't know, they could roll back into the back of their heads. They wouldn't even realize.
Non-coherent, or making no sense.
You couldn't hold down a conversation, and so a few of us started to like kind of pick up on the see the negative side. It was a lot of fun at the time, but then when you look back at it, and when you were trying to have the conversations when you were sober again with the people that were on Valium and drinking, then it was just like, what the fuck is this? So I think we went to chilled out on the islands for a bit, didn't we? At that point, and we
went to fucking Shitsville.
Chinookville, which is a horrendous place. So I've been back 3 or 4 times now, and every time I went back, it got worse and worse and worse. Like, no word of a lie.
It just confirmed its name. Shitsville.
And but the islands over there are awesome. I went back many times, and I ended up spending 3 months there. But that was the last place I went on my travels. 3 years later, we just lived on the island for about 5-6 days or something, and we were partying lots, but you kind of had a hold on it. We were smoking a bit and stuff, but this kind of Valium craze that we had kind of come to an end, thankfully. That was a big impact, I think, on our group at the time, and it kind of separated and divided us and caused arguments a little bit. But the island kind of, I guess, brought us back together in that sense.
Yeah.
And that was a great fun. Koh Rong is, like I say, I've been back there like twice, spent probably about 3-4 months there in total, and had a lot of fun. But also done a lot of shit there as well in terms of the drug side of things. But the first time we went, we just partied and had a good time, relaxed on the beach, and it was good fun.
It was really good fun.
Yeah. I think soon after we travelled over from Camp Hot into Vietnam, into Ho Chi Minh.
Yeah, Ho Chi Minh.
Or Saigon, or whatever you want to.
Same, but different.
Yeah, same, but different. That classic place of the why not bars.
Yeah.
And it just fucking, it's that classic Vietnam, you don't know, you weren't there sort of attitude towards Vietnam. And it kind of stands by that phrase, because it was really fucked up, I think, Vietnam for a lot of us. And it wasn't so much that we were just drinking heavy, right? But we just ended up getting in shit a lot. And I think the group was dynamic that we had at the time was just kind of, it wasn't so much the drug side of stuff. It was just the alcohol abuse and drinking too much. I think, like you were saying, you were waking up in places, or you were taking rides on the back of motorbikes that were getting us all in shit, you know, getting this thing stolen and robbed, and there was I think you got mugged, and me and this girl that I liked were, you know, had to run away from some people who gave us a lift because they were threatening to steal stuff from us. So we were constantly just getting in bother, and I think there was one time where we were just drinking for the sake of it. It felt like, I mean, we went to get fitted out for a suit and a shirt, and we were absolutely paralytically drunk and high as a kite.
It just became the norm, didn't it? Just drinking.
And I think that's when I started thinking, oh fuck, like, is this what trip's gonna be? Is just drinking? Like, because in South America, in the evening we were having a drink and having a bit of a party, and like I say, taking drugs now and then. But this was every single day. You were getting all fucked up, and all day. Yeah. It was like, oh well, we'll go and see this, but we're gonna have a drink while we're going to do that.
I remember going to see Angkor Wat, and people were walking around with beers, and
there's literally like bones, like, you know, coming, like literally bones rise out of the ground from a massacre that happened there, and we're walking around drinking beers, and how like disrespectful it is looking back at it now. I guess it's a bit of an eye opener, but that was almost just what we were doing.
Young and dumb.
Yeah, not really taking in where we were.
No.
Vietnam's awesome, but I think didn't really do much for us in terms of sightseeing, I guess.
No, there wasn't very much sightseeing done at all.
You did the odd thing, but
and like you said, it just became like Vietnam, I think, was the turning point for a lot of us. And I think in Vietnam we all started to kind of do our own things and separate a bit more. We weren't so together, and like you said there, I think that was because trouble was just always around the corner with us. It was if it wasn't me, it was my mate, or it was someone else getting in bother, and it was all alcohol induced or fueled. Do you know what I mean? It was if we were sober, then we wouldn't, or weren't so fucking drunk, then we might not have been in so much trouble.
But I think what worried me the most was the normality around it, and it wasn't just us as a group. It was everybody there, all the tourists and everything else. We just constantly kind of
every hostel you went to was just every night there was a party or a pub crawl or some event going on, or there was always something to put alcohol in you. So even if you didn't want to drink, you didn't have to drink, but you know, it was very hard to stay away from.
No, it's impossible.
From it. You know what I mean?
I don't think I met many people who were staying away from it too much. Really,
I don't think I met anyone at the hostel who would say I'm not having a drink.
Yeah.
Because then that would have been weird. I think.
Yeah, I think everyone would have stayed away from you. I mean, and this is
you wouldn't have made any friends, and that's the sad reality of it. If you didn't join them, then you were probably going to end up fucking sat on your own. So.
Yeah, and I think what most people don't really think about traveling is because most people go by themselves or in a group of two, and you walk into a hostel one day, and then you got to make friends with these people. Otherwise, you're sat by yourself and lonely. And like I said, with that first day, there's nothing worse than loneliness.
And the first thing you normally do is say, "Do you want a drink?"
Yeah. Do you want to have a cigarette?
Yeah, a cigarette.
You know, and that's another addiction itself. And where I started smoking was to make friends, because it was like, oh well, if I can go and ask someone for a cigarette, I can sit and have a cigarette and chat for them for 10 minutes. Yeah. And that was my way of breaking the ice, was, I guess, because I didn't know any other way how, because I was a bit socially awkward. So moving through Vietnam was just like lots of drink, lots of partying, and you know, we were doing it almost too much to really fully enjoy the place. But in terms of the issues that we had, our mate Dane, he had like a spider bite, was in some horrible Vietnamese hospital, bringing surgical equipment out with me and Cameron sat there just being like, that's dirty surgical equipment that they're going to go do an operation.
It was wrapped in like some sort of rag. That's the only way I can explain it. Yeah, it was.
I genuinely wouldn't have wiped my ass with that rag, and I would have taken it into surgery.
No.
And there was, can you remember this? Being sat in that waiting lobby, and there being open heart surgery playing on the TV as part of, like, you know, most, you know, hospitals you go into, it's just some soothing, you know,
calming music
or pictures of serene landscapes.
Videos of "we're here to help." Yeah, and a nice smiley nurse.
Not like open heart surgery of someone literally taking a heart of like a chest cavity.
Yeah, it didn't fill you with comfort being in there.
No, not at all.
No.
So yeah, we had that. I mean, I destroyed all the ligaments in my foot at one point. I'm sure there was a few other kind of issues where we had, like, I mean, you walk around Vietnam as well, and everyone's got road rash from, they do the Top Gear, you know, they buy a motorbike, they drive up, and in my head, I kind of always wanted to do that, but when looking around, I'm so glad we didn't do that.
Yeah.
Because if you were doing what we were doing, drinking, everything else, I don't think we would have made it to the top of Vietnam.
No,
on a motorbike.
I think it was probably best we stayed in those sleeper buses and the train.
Yeah. And we had our own little experiences of that. And when we got hit by a tail end of a hurricane in, I can't remember the name. It was called
Hue? Hoi-An?
Hoi-An, maybe. It was kind of midway up, I think.
Yeah. You had to like leave right away.
Yeah,
floods,
And then we just jumped on a random sleeper train, and that was when I took Valium again.
Okay.
Because we had 7 hours, and it was literally like it was a wooden bench we had to sleep on overnight. I was like, "Fuck this! We still got Valium." Like we always had Valium.
Yeah.
We just stopped drinking with it as much. And I took one of the Valiums, and I mean, it's not like the stuff you get over, say, in the Western world where it's 0.02 of a milligram. It's 2 milligrams. Yeah. So it knocks you out. And I remember waking up in Hoi An, and you had to literally walk over the train tracks to get out of the station.
Yeah.
And just not being able to walk straight. Because I was so like fucked up off this Valium still, and I hadn't even been drinking.
Yeah,
I just had the pill, and that was
you
it.
did like a newborn giraffe.
Like, yeah. I don't think I've ever felt that wobbly. I think you were carrying me out of the station at one point. But that was a cool city that we went to, and again, the Valium was under control at that point. Let's say, and I think we spent Christmas, didn't we, in Vietnam?
Yeah.
And we were partying hard. We were going to things like the snake villages, and I remember going after eating snake and waking up the next morning because we went out. We got really, really fucked up that night. I woke up with snake skin in my mouth, and it felt like someone had like left a dried condom inside my gums. It was disgusting. And, like, I must have forgot to brush my teeth before I went to bed, and just been a dirty little traveler, and just been like pulling like a snake skin out of my my teeth, and just wanting to throw up so badly because of all the whiskey and everything else. You were drinking like bile and blood. Like
blood. Yeah, that's the first time I think I found out. Snakes had ribs. Remember they came out with spare ribs, and we were like, fucking ribs.
Yeah, but you just had to eat the bones because it was so small. So it was a strange experience. And that guy, what they do is they literally slaughter a snake in front of you, and then cut out its beating heart. And then they put the beating heart, and it just keeps beating.
Is it rice wine vinegar they put in?
Yeah. No, rice wine vinegar, yeah. Rice wine, yeah.
Rice wine vinegar.
It probably tastes like vinegar.
Yeah.
And we did rock, paper, scissors, and a tour guy, well, not tour guy, but guy who worked at the hostel, he lost, and he had to do this, shot the snake heart, and you could see it beating down his throat as it like kind of went further and further down.
It was mad, actually, yeah.
It was such a surreal experience.
It's just picking of snake.
Yeah,
like it was a lobster. Which snake do you want? Like, I love that one. But does it matter?
Yeah, but they brought out the king cobra, and they were like playing around with it in front of us, and we were only like a meter away from this king cobra.
I ended up hiding behind the fucking wall. I was like, going near that thing. Fucking thing's a king cobra.
But we got back that night, and the guy done the shot with the heart. Got an absolute bollocking off his manager.
Yeah.
Because he was like, what the fuck did you let them bring the king cobra out for? You're not allowed to do that. And we were like, oh, no, that was just part of it, wasn't it? He was like, no, you're not supposed to get the king cobra out.
Yeah. And then there's people getting up close in its face trying to take a picture of it. And I was like, what are you doing?
But that was a fun experience. But again, it was all fueled by alcohol at that point.
Every decision we made was with alcohol in the system or something in the system.
But you wake up the next day, right, and you were fine at this point because we've been drinking so heavily most nights anyway.
Yeah, we'll just rinse and repeat.
Yeah. You just wake up the next day and start drinking.
Yeah.
And I think that was when I started to really realize that I needed a break from you guys because... But I say this, and I'll go into the story next, but... I thought I needed a break, but then I just did even more stupid shit when I was away from you guys. And I think I just missed that, and I was almost a bit lonely again. And it's going back to that loneliness, which I think a lot of our problems have probably stemmed from. And when it got to the bad times that we've both gone through, it's probably because of the loneliness triggered it.
Yeah, you make a good point there. Like you probably, like you say, when you got to Peru, was it first? Yeah, and then Chile. Sorry,
crying and stuff.
And and you were all lonely. And the way you sort of, and you said to the guy, "Why did you try the coke?" He said to make friends. So yeah, you probably had the group with us, and you were safe, or not safe in the sense that you couldn't look after yourself, but you felt, you were part of something. You weren't on your own. And then the moment you say you needed to get away from the group to sort of get away from that sort of aspect of it that you were trying to avoid, you then found that loneliness again. And then because of the situation you were in, you revert back to type, and it's, well, how do I make friends? Let's do some mushrooms.
Yeah,
and I think
pretty
that's
much.
where you ended up.
Yeah, and the rest, to be honest.
So you left us.
So I headed into Laos,
Yeah.
and this place has been on the news recently because of a few people dying over there where we were. I'm not sure if you heard about this.
Okay.
But where we were
Vang
partying,
Vien? No.
Vang Vien, I think.
Was that where we were?
I think so.
Where they do the
Didn't
tubing?
yeah. So it's like that classic tubing thing, and that's calmed down recently, but it's known for its bad alcohol and its tourists getting too fucked up. But it's pretty much on like almost the Golden Triangle area. So you have all the drugs heavy drugs in the world. They grow a lot of opium over there. But they have these things called friends bars, which you can probably remember in terms of you just go to a bar and it's got TVs everywhere and they're just showing episode after episode of Friends.
Oh yeah, I remember us ending up in one of them. Yeah.
But they'll bring you out a menu for your food. Great. They'll bring you out a separate menu, which is just drugs.
Yeah. Well, didn't we end up smoking in like a janitor's closet or something?
We were smoking opium in a janitor's closet. Yeah, and there was a guy who gave us was wearing a multicolored afro wig.
Wait,
It's like that's the guy to buy drugs off.
Was that
it's the guy
opium?
wearing You
I
don't realize
thought
that.
it was fucking.
No, that was opium, man.
I had no idea. No wonder I was so fucking high.
Yeah. So
I just thought it was really strong weed.
No, that was opium. It was an opium den.
Sorry, Mum.
Didn't realize that was the one I had to check off the list.
Yeah.
So I went anyway a little bit by myself for a little
sorry,
bit.
Mate. Blew my mind right now. Oh, right.
That might have been my fault because I went beforehand and I realised that I was like, oh yeah, this is a really strong joint. Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Tricked you into smoking opium.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Let's
But
continue.
before me and Cameron met up again, I think it was just a few days. It wasn't long. A few days by
maybe a
myself.
week max.
I don't even think it was that
No.
long. So I'm sat in one of these friends bars, and I'm with another big group that I've just kind of met at the hostel, and it was a lot of them are Danish and Finnish actually, which you don't get that many of them traveling. You get quite a few, but not not loads and loads. And because I'd been hanging around with a lot of English people, I was like, I'm fucking sick of English people. So I need a bit of a change. So it was nice. So I had a joint there, and then I left, and those guys were staying for a bit because they came a bit later, and so I went down to this really cool like beach, not beach, but like a river bar, and we were just having a few drinks, and these guys came over to be like, oh yeah, we just had this happy shake, and it was like, oh yeah, it looks like really good. It would like didn't cost us too much, and it's like just supposed to have a bit of a concoction of a bit of mushrooms, just a little bit, but it's mostly like weed and stuff in it. I was like, all right, okay, cool. I was like, oh, maybe I'll go and try one. And they all started like having the giggles and stuff. I was like, all right, fuck it, I'll go and have one.
Yeah, it looks fun.
And they were like, oh, well, we shared one between two. So I was like, yeah, but I'm just going by myself, so I'm going to have one. So I go back to this bar. And
Tell me how much I
yeah,
need.
don't tell me, like, tolerance.
Yeah.
I know who I am. So I go back to this bar, and I ordered this thing called a happy shake. And they don't really tell me exactly what's in it until I go back the next, a couple of days later when I actually find out what is in it. But I didn't know this at the time, right? So it's opium, mushrooms, weed, and I think there's something else in it, but I can't remember now. But it's pretty much a concoction of everything that's going to make you a little bit fucked up.
It's like it's the equivalent of a Long Island fucking drug shake. Put everything's on the top shelf in it, please.
So I have a full one of these. I'm like, all right, great. I'm going to be sweet now for the rest of the day. This is going to be a really good fun. I haven't done too much mushrooms in the past. So, like, for me, that was a new experience again. So it's just like, all right, let's tick one off the list. Opium, not done. Let's tick that off the list. And at that point, the travels was just like ticking off stuff that you've not done. So it's like, all right, I've done all this shit already. What stuff haven't I done? So I make my way back, and it's probably been about half an hour. And I meet all these guys again. And they are fucked, but not a good fucked. They are all scared shitless. They are like paranoid as anything. They're seeing loads of weird shit. They're like freaking out big time. And bear in mind, 11 of them have done that. So there's 12 of us total. 11 of them have done it. And they're all like, no, we can't hack it. We can't hack it. This is too much. It's too intense. And I was like, fuck, I've just had a whole one of these. And they've just had half. Like, what journey am I about to go on? So I start panicking a little bit and just being like, fuck. Like,
internal panic attack just creeping up,
before you know what's going to happen, because obviously it takes a little while to kick in.
You're just waiting for it to hit you.
Yeah, and like one of the guys out of the 10 or 11 people. He's like, oh no, like I'm fine, I'm good, I'm sorry. So there is hope. There is hope. So maybe I'm just, can outdo the odds here. So they all like wander off.
Outdo the odds here. I've got a 1 in 10 chance.
Yeah, I like those odds. Yeah. I've had worse. So yeah, they like say 10 of these guys all wander off back to the hostel, like absolutely just freaking their minds out, like not in a good place. But I'm like, all right, whatever, I'm staying here. I'm not gonna go inside like on a trip. That's like, I know, like I say, I haven't tripped too much into that point, but I know that's like a no-go, is don't be inside. So be in nature, you're gonna be okay. It'll look after you. So
Mother Nature's got your back.
Exactly. Yeah. So there was this rubber ring in the like anchored down in the river. So I'm like, oh, that looks like a perfect place to go and trip my balls off. Like it's just anchored down. I can't go anywhere. It's in the shallow water. Yeah. I'm not gonna drown. I can just chill.
I'm not gonna drown.
So I go and like sit on this thing, and this other guy who's like feeling okay is just kind of doing his own thing, wandering around, having a drink or whatever. I just like can't be bothered. I didn't really know him that well. So I'm laid in this rubber ring, and like kind of half an hour, 45 minutes later, I'm start getting these like a little bit giggly and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, this is a fun high. Like I'm enjoying myself. Why are these guys enjoying it?
I can do
and
this.
Then it gets like an hour after, and I'm just staring at this mountainside, watching giant ants crawl up the side of this mountain.
Remember you
like,
telling me that, yeah,
just
when I met you.
Yeah. Just been like, what the hell? And that's the first like time I've fully tripped like and seen stuff. So 6 hours later, I get out of the rubber rig after sitting in the river for 6 hours in the sun, getting blasted, probably sunburnt to shit, just tripping my balls off. Like I can't even remember the full ins and outs of what I was tripping over. I just remember the ants. And I'm like, all right, I'm getting cold. I'm starting to like shiver from being in the water for too long. And
how long were you in? Do you know?
About 5 or 6 hours.
Right, yeah.
Like a while. Like
my body was pruned by that point.
Yeah, because I took the shake in the morning, and it was like mid-afternoon, late afternoon by the time I got out the river.
Fucking hell.
And it takes me, I'd say, half an hour to walk maybe 20 meters from where I was sat in the river to like the side of the bank. And there's literally like, this is like a big kind of like a big bar that everyone's out there. There's like probably 100 people on this bank side just watching me try and walk in, and I'm just in hysterics. Like I'm nearly falling in the water. I'm just like giggling to myself, having no idea what's going on, but starting to get a bit paranoid because it's taking me so long to get in. Yeah. I'm like, I get past the paranoia. Don't let this like trip take you in the wrong direction. Because at this point, I had a great trip.
Yeah,
having so much fun. Like one of the best days, and it was one of the best days of my life because I was just like seeing the most craziest shit. So I finally get on the bankside, put my shoes on. I'm like, all right, I'll go back to the hostel. But I didn't know what time it was. I just knew it was, by the sun and everything else, it was like late afternoon. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to see how these guys are getting on, because I was like starting to feel okay. I was in the groove of the high. So 2 of them had shat themselves in bed in the hostel and were in the fetal position. One had vomited like everywhere and was like almost rocking back and forward in bed, while the others were all just like semi-asleep, semi-like awake, just trying to like ride out this horrible like trip that they were having. And I walk in like, hey guys, this is awesome. And they're all like, fuck off, we're having the worst time, sort of thing. Like literally the whole hostel room just stinks of shit and puke. Oh, and I'm like, oh, fuck this, right? I'm not hanging around this. This is giving me bad vibes. So I'm like, all right, I need to go like
killing my boss.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, having a great time, guys. Like let's go do something. And they're like, no, like I'm staying here, like in the fetal position. So I like, all right, I need to warm up because I'm freezing my tits off from being in this river for ages. And the hostel was really, I don't know if you can remember that one. It was really basic. There was like metal doors everywhere and stuff.
It was a bit of a shithole.
So I go into the shower, and like say you close this metal door behind me, and I start showering like during this trip, and I just start freaking out like big time. And this is probably the worst part of that trip that I was on all day. I couldn't figure out how to get out of the shower. I couldn't figure out the lock on the door. I looked down. I was like looking at my penis, and I thought it like disappeared because it was like so shriveled and stuff from being in like from being in the water too long. I was like, oh my god, I've lost my penis, like all this sort of stuff. Started looking at the mirror.
I've lost my penis.
And I was like looking in the mirror of the shower thing, and my eyes started like, when your face, when you're tripping and your eyes start to move around your face, and like, or you see all like everything's
distorted.
Yeah, everything's wrong with your face.
Yeah.
And you know, on Anchorman when he's like, I'm in a glass case of emotion.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it felt. I was just like, please, someone let me out, or something. I was like, just like stuck, like freaking my tits off, like not having a penis, and then just trying to. So I eventually get out of this thing, and I'm like, all right, okay, I'm okay now. Like it started, like after getting out of the shower, I was okay. It was just started to like the realization and my level-headedness came back. But this is 7 hours, 8 hours into the trip, and I'm like, when is this gonna end? Like, what have I taken? And like, do you know when you just don't know it's gonna end?
Yeah.
Like, or how it's gonna end or whatever. But it's on its way down. I'm not like seeing stuff constantly anymore. And then I just go and sit in this kind of lobby of this hotel, hostel, whatever you want to call it. And I'm smoking one of those Vogue cigarette things, the really long, thin ones.
Yeah.
And all I'm doing is staring at the cigarette, watching the smoke go back and forward, just like wiggling it from side to side. And
So you're still having a pie?
Oh, I'm still having a great time. I'm just like I'm not at my peak anymore. I'm just kind of easing off it. So I'm like, all right, I've done well. I've rode this out, and it keeps coming back in waves as it does, but like nothing has the intensity. I was like, oh, well done. You've done well there. You've got through the crazy trip where everyone else is like, I felt proud of myself almost, which is a terrible thing to think when everyone else is like shitting and puking.
I'm built different.
But yeah, I was like, I'm the man, you know, like any drug I could take now. And that was probably almost then led me on to do even more stuff because I was like, well, if I can do that and others can't, then what else can I do? And it gave me this weird self-confidence of drug taking that is probably like a really bad attitude to have. Yeah. Because I was like, oh, just because I had this amazing trip, like I'm fine now. I've got high tolerance. I'm gravy, you know, whereas others can't hack it. Yeah. So you feel like the same kind of like Superman who can do whatever. And I'm sure you might have come across this before where you've got like a higher tolerance than other people. And like you were saying before, when you drink, you don't start puking, you don't start falling over, you just keep going until you black out. And I also felt like that. But anyway, I'm playing with a cigarette, staring at the smoke, not even smoking the thing, just like wandering it around and, you know, walking. And they're just like, what the hell have you taken? That was the first thing they said.
Nothing.
What you heard about? Just had a few drinks. But they obviously saw I was like tripping my balls off still a little bit, with a stupid big smile on my face, just be like, hey, and I came up, like ran up, gave them a big hug, and you know, was very emotional, which is not always like me, and you know, just being extra friendly, and they were like, can we have what you had? I was like, no,
you do not
want that.
I'll show you why. There's a bedroom over
literally
here.
I took them to it. I was like, don't do it. This is what everyone else was like. So we went out, and I've been telling them about smoking opium a few days before in this, you know, cupboard, which eventually took you to as well. To this opium place with, you know, the guy with the multicolored wig, and that was their first time experiencing smoking opium, and they were a bit nervous, obviously, but they still went for it. In fairness to them, you know, we you know, just high as a kite, and they would help with the come down a little bit for me as well, because at that point I was getting like a little bit on edge, and after you've been peaking all day, you need something to like ease into it. I think that was like that. Going back to what we were saying is dealing with like a loneliness by overcompensating in other ways, and just thinking, oh, I'm gonna get fucked up tonight, what else do I do, or how do I fill this void of like missing people or being by myself?
It takes you away from having to sit in yourself or sit with your boredom, like we spoke about earlier. It was the saying, like, boredom, it kills you. Sometimes you just, what do I fill this hole with that I don't know what else to do apart from either drink or use some kind of substance to allow myself to feel anything. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
And I think, like, as much as my mental health was solid at this point because I was having such an amazing time, I think this is what eventually led to mental health decline when I finished traveling. But it was always, I think, that opportunity of something new always around every corner when you're traveling, and it just kind of kept you going even through when you maybe were a bit lower, or you found something to compensate, like drugs or alcohol at the time. And you just kept on pushing and pushing and pushing, and that was the way you dealt with it without really understanding it. So from then, I think, you know, you came along into Laos, and we even spent like a day or two together, and then I moved over to Thailand and I went to Pai, and again, Pai is pretty hippie-ish, so, you know, did a lot of stuff. And again, because I was by myself, I was, I guess, you know, me and Sky had realized, all right, that this is nothing's going to really happen here, and maybe she had realized it more than me. So I think I went to Pai, and I slept my way around Pai and did a lot of stupid shit of that side of things. And again, it was that filling that void of wanting something that you can't have, and then just trying to fill it with I guess sex in this time rather than drugs or rather than alcohol.
It's cheap dopamine, isn't it?
Yeah,
Anything
and it's what can fill the hunger of what you're feeling,
and quickly.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that was and I finished in Pi, and I was a bit like, I didn't enjoy that. I enjoyed Pi, and enjoyed like the parties and everything like that, but that sexual side of thing of like sleeping with 3 people in 4 days, I was like, oh, why am I doing that? Like, what did I gain from that? And that's not me. There was no connection there. There was nothing. So again, it was just like, I knew in my mindset, is this who I am? Am I just trying to like fill the void all the time with other things and trying to just latch on to something, whatever will give me some sort of rush? So I think at that point, that was kind of towards the end of my trip in Southeast Asia. And I think I met with you in Chiang Mai briefly afterwards, and it was more of a bit of a farewell, and you went off and did your own thing. After that with others. And I went over to New Zealand. But I think New Zealand was when I kind of, thankfully, apart from smoking weed, I gave the opportunity to have a bit of a break from the heavy stuff. Because it wasn't really available in New Zealand. Everyone smokes weed there, but no one's really doing that much else, or at least not the people that I was around. And New Zealand's awesome. I was there for a year, and I was telling you earlier, I ended up living in a tent for 90 days because I ran out of money, and we used to wash in a waterfall and working outside in construction. And it was probably one of the best times of my life. And all I was, like I say, I was just smoking weed, but I was living on pennies. I was technically, I guess, what you would call homeless. Not, begging on the street, but I still didn't have anywhere to live in. I didn't have a bed. I just slept on the floor.
You spent your last remaining money on a car.
Yeah, like me and my 2 mates, it was equivalent of about £500 each. We chipped in to buy a car, and this car was like really shitty, but we lived in this thing. We like drove around this thing. I had like amazing adventures with it, but like that was our last money. Just went in that, and we were naive. We just thought, we're educated English blokes, we'll get a job in New Zealand. Nah, fuck that, it's so difficult. So we got a job on this construction site just to survive. We literally had nothing. And New Zealand's an expensive place to live, so when you have nothing, you really, really have nothing. But then we made friends with loads of locals, and they really helped us out and took a shining to us. This one guy, again, who I was telling you about earlier, but he had been growing weed for 35 years and growing off someone who'd been growing for 25 years. So had something crazy like 60 years weed growing experience between the two of them. And this stuff was like powerful as anything, but really natural. And it was like going back to that thing of, prefer that bushweed kind of thing. It was like bushweed on steroids. So it was like you got like a great high, but didn't have all the paranoia with it and the anxiety. So we just used to live outside, smoke, and I mean, my best mate had the best time doing that, just kind of relaxing under the stars every night. And as much as it was probably silly spending the small amount of pennies we had smoking weed, it was like, well, again, it's filling that void and what makes you comfortable. We weren't drinking because we couldn't afford to drink, so we were like, all right, well, we'll just get stoned and that will help us sleep in our tent that night. We pretty much just spent the whole of New Zealand working but getting really stoned. We were driving around the South Island at one point, rolling joints in our car. Literally, one of us would drive while one of us was rolling, and then just kind of take it in turns. And like there was no one around, but there was no one in New Zealand, right? So it's like the South Island especially, there's no one around. You could drive. I remember driving for like 5 hours straight and not seeing a single person.
Okay, fuck.
And it's not like it's a huge place, but there's just no one around. So you just like, especially when you go to the back routes places and off the beaten track, you really do like, you kind of start to get worried that fuel's gonna run out and you're gonna get stuck. So we used to live in this car for a while, just traveling around the South Island before we got to Queenstown. Just smoking and like literally again having the best time of our lives, but it was that's when it started to become reliant on it, and we were buying all the time, buying large amounts all the time, and we just became like a staple. It was, rather than using it to go to sleep, it was wake up, have a joint,
The function now, basically.
Yeah, go to work, have a break, have a joint, go back to work, have a joint. And then, it would just be that. And we had like a constant supply, so we were apart from a few times.
Matey.
Yeah. Well, even at that point when we left him, it was like everyone we met, had
okay,
weed.
yeah.
Like, it was just easy to come by, and like, although it was quite seasonal there, like you could, because it was very much like produced internally, you could still, like, there was maybe 2 weeks where we really struggled, and then that's when I realized, oh fuck, I'm so reliant on this, because I was like, where can we get it? Where can we get it? Almost like going down the wrong way, the wrong path with it. It was like, all right, now I'm like really heavily reliant on it. And again,
so is that when you first knew that you might have a problem with weed?
Yeah.
Okay. So before that, you
I think before that, it was more moderate taking, right?
Yeah.
Like, even when we were smoking like heavily in certain parts of Asia, it was only like, all right, for a week we can smoke, but we know if we're going to go to this next place, the police are going to fuck us up if we get caught. So it was like, in New Zealand, it was like, oh, we know everywhere's easy to get it, no one's going to really say anything, and we can always have a good time. And then when you then come off it a bit, I was like, oh fuck, can't sleep, can't function properly. I'm like, you know, that I was like, oh shit, like this is a problem. But I kept on going, and that's the thing. I think with most people, they know sometimes they have a problem, but they just keep doing it because they don't really see the impact it maybe has on other people.
Yeah, or themselves at the time.
Yeah, exactly. And also the slow mental decline probably that it has on you, and it's not so maybe straight away, like, because you're still having great fun, but I think it's just building in there, and I think that's what it did with me. Was over the years it just built up and built up and built up.
Well, in that moment, you're probably weighing up like consequence and fun. And at that moment, fun's
and like
that's not happening right now. The consequence, you know,
there was no consequence.
That's not going to happen yet, is it? Or to me. So you continue.
Yeah, and our bosses knew we smoked. It wasn't like, you know, it was.
So it made it easier.
Yeah. Like, it wasn't like I was like, oh, the stoners are coming, so
The stoners are on their way. Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and like, so from there we go snowboarding, we get stoned, and then we were just doing this stuff all the time. It was just normal. And then we eventually we got offered jobs in Japan, working for the same company. And we're like, well, fuck yeah, we want to go to Japan. And we had to go home first to get visas and stuff, because you can only get it in your own country, or at the time that was the kind of rules. So we're like, oh, well, New Zealand's a long way away from England, so let's stop off in Southeast Asia on the way back. I'd just come from there. Obviously, you know, me and Cameron had a great time, but I also knew the damage of what might come. So we tried. I thought, you know what, let's go to Malaysia. I haven't been to Malaysia yet. It's a Muslim country. Like, they'll keep us on the straight and narrow.
I'll be safe there.
Then what I didn't realize is that, oh well, I'm just going to replace the weed with drink. And we got to Malaysia and we were just drinking and drinking and drinking, because we didn't know how to deal with not being stoned. Yeah. And the worst place was Penang. And Penang is like a maze of a city, and you just get lost in it, and it's really hard to find your way around of it even when you're sober. But when you've had a few drinks, then it becomes impossible. And we were drinking along this kind of main stretch of where people party. You could pay for like an hour or 2 hours or whatever it was in this bar, and they just keep giving you drinks. It wasn't per drink. It was just almost you paid for your seat, and they would just keep bringing your stuff out.
Fuck.
And at one point, my mate goes, "Oh, what's this little tab in the drink?" And I was like, "Oh, it's probably nothing, but just a bit of paper." And then 4 or 5 drinks later, I found a little tab in my drink, and I'm like, this is a bit strange. But again, we didn't really like think much of it, and even to this day, I don't know if that was anything. But the amount that we were fucked up, it wasn't like drunk fucked up. It was not knowing who you are anymore fucked up, or where you're going, or anything like that. Yeah. So me and my mate were absolutely fucked up, and I'm like literally doing body shots off people. That's how messed up I am. And then we end up having like a massive fight with each other, and I've known my friend since I was the age of 9 or 10, and we've never really fought to that extent before. We just have a big fallout, bust up. We go our separate
physical,
ways.
was it?
No, and just like arguing. But we go our separate ways and start just wandering off. But it's Penang, so we just get completely lost. And I'm like, oh fuck, I've gone the wrong way. But I'm sure he's gone back to the hostel. He's all happy and fine, and he's in bed and just like cursing him, you know, as you do after an argument. Yeah. And it gets to 4 a.m, pitch black. I've been walking the city for about 2 hours at this point, maybe 2.5 hours, trying to find my way home, and just gave up. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go and sleep in this bush. That seems like a good option. I'll wait till the sun comes up. I'll be a bit more sober by that point, and I'll go going home.
And then I'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'll figure it out when I'm sober, or at least when it's bright outside. Yeah. So as I'm about to get in this bush, I'm like, no, like just keep going just for a little bit longer. Let's try like hitchhiking. I'm like, I've never hitchhiked in Southeast Asia before, so it's going either way. But at that point, you're a bit desperate. And I'm hitchhiking for 10 minutes, and then this old 8-year-old woman picks me up in a car. And I'm like, oh my God, like, thank you so much. Can you take me here, sort of thing? And she's like, yes, I know where it is. And she maybe just understood what I was saying, but I think I had like some sort of keyring where I could tell them where to go. So she picks me up, she starts driving, and I'm literally in the car for like half an hour. I was like, where the hell have I walked for? Like, and the fact that she's driving for this long, I must have just walked totally the wrong direction for 2.5 hours, like the other side of the city. And as I'm getting closer to where I need to go, or where I think I need to go, I look out the window and I'm still a little bit drunk, and I'm like, wait, that's Ben. And he's doing the exact same thing as I was doing, hitchhiking on the side of the street.
But at least he was going the right way.
Yeah, well, at least he thought he was. I don't think he knew where he was. Well, he wouldn't, or he wouldn't be hitchhiking. And so I go to this, old Malaysian woman. Oh, this is very strange, but can you pick him up? She's like, yes, like very kind lady.
Yeah.
And so my mate jumps into the car without looking in the seat, because why would he? And I'm like, you're right, Ben. He's like, what the fuck are you doing in this car? Like, all argument is out the window now. We're just happy to see each other.
And pure confusion.
And he turns around and he goes, I was just about to go and sleep in a bush. I was like, no way, I was about to go and sleep in the bush. So we both had like this, idea of just going to crash somewhere, and that was it. But the fact that we just kind of came across each other in this drunken state, it
just had the identical thoughts and evening after you split up.
At that point, we'd been living together for a year, living side by side, whether it was in a tent or in a bunk bed or whatever it was. We'd been inseparable for that whole time, so we kind of had the same thought process always. And it's weird how you build that connection with someone after that period of time, after already knowing each other for so long. We wake up the next morning and we're both just kind of sat on the hostel stairs outside in the boiling heat of Penang, and we both just break down and start crying because we're so fucked up from all of the drinking that we've done. And we're like, mate, like, we can't keep doing this. It's like, this is like a low point for us, We've never been like this. We're always like happy-go-lucky. We have a problem, we overcome it, we move on.
Yeah.
But we couldn't get over this one. It was like, it was the accumulation of the hangovers, or like not looking after ourselves, not eating properly, and just whatever it was. And just our mental state was like rock bottom. And that was just the alcohol. It wasn't like I say, we weren't taking heavy drugs or anything.
Yeah.
And we're like, all right. I was like, I know where we can go, and we can get off the grid. We can stop drinking. We can just like smoke.
Matt's got a plan.
I've got a plan. So it's like Cambodia. It was like, I've been to Cambodia. I know the exact beach we can go to, the exact island we can go to. Reflip the switch and just go back to just being stoners, and when we were all good, right?
Not be a mess anymore.
Yeah, and the fact that it was our go-to was, where could we find weed? It was like terrible, really.
Yeah,
I mean, don't get me wrong, we saw a lot of beautiful things in Malaysia, and we did a few little river trips and everything else. But what really stood out to me was Penang and how low we could go at that point.
But like you just said there, it's mad how your revert was, where can we go to ground, or how can we be normal? Let's find some weed.
Yeah.
Let's find some weed.
Because that's like the idea of an addict, right? It's like, all right, the last thing's not working out, when I need to go back to what I was maybe doing before, but it doesn't mean it's any better. It's just
something that's a bit less destructive.
Yeah. It's like, again, it's this idea of, there's nothing wrong with weed, right?
Yeah.
So, it's totally the wrong mentality to have, but it was still the mentality that we had.
Yeah, no, of course.
So we get back to Cambodia. So this is the second time I've been by this point, and I know exactly where I'm going, so it's a lot easier. So like, ding, 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 we're off in the islands. We're all happy. Just smoke weed and we're good. So we have a lovely time for just like literally a week, just out on the island smoking. Have the odd drink, but nothing too heavy. Like big parties or anything. Just enjoy each other's company again. And it wasn't until we got back into we come full loop here, is we go back to Siem Reap and Phnom Penh, and my mate finds Valium. Now, I warned him against this sort of thing, and I was like, you don't want to go down this road, mate. I've seen the damage that it does. So I stay away pretty much. I do a little bit, but I don't want to go down that trap. But he ignores me and does his own thing, which he's entitled to do, obviously, and he just starts going like angry drunk. And we saw it a few times where people just get like fucked up and get angry and everything else, but he was just getting like aggressive, and it wasn't him. And he fully changed in terms of who he was, and he kind of went down this path for a little while actually, and with the drinking and the drugs and stuff himself. But It was in the main kind of cities in Cambodia where he really kind of went off the deep end and he really did some damage to himself. And it wasn't until we were about to fly home that he got really, really sick. And when I was genuinely concerned about him, we were getting on the same flights, obviously, and everything. And he passed out pretty much in the gate waiting to board the airplane. Mm-hmm. And I had to be like, oh no, he's just very tired, he's sleeping, all this sort of stuff to the airport staff. But he was very, very sick, and at this point he hadn't been drinking or anything. He was just terribly ill from all the damage that he'd done to himself. So I managed to just get him on the plane without too much of an issue. And then we get to Denmark and we miss our connecting flight, so we have to stay in Denmark airport for 10 hours, and it's -7 outside. We have just Southeast Asian clothes and nothing else. And my mate just starts pissing blood, vomiting every 2 minutes, shivering and shaking. He can't move off the bench apart from when he needs to literally throw up whatever's in his body.
Yeah.
Whether it was the drugs or whatever, we didn't really get the full ins and outs of it, but he was in a very bad place. And that was a really, really big eye-opener for me, I think, in terms of the damage that people can do from partying to themselves, because he's my best friend, and to see him struggling in that way. So eventually we managed to somehow let him on the plane, and we went straight. I don't know how we got on that flight, to be honest. I honestly don't know, because he looked like he was about to die, and never seen someone so white and so sickly before. I stood. Yeah. And as soon as we got off the plane in London, his brother took him straight to A&E, and he was on an IV drip, I think, for 2 days.
Shit.
And again, maybe he got some sort of incurable VD or something, but I think it was mostly the fact that he was just partying so hard on these random drugs that we were taking with not really much understanding to it.
Yeah.
We were flying over to Japan in 2 weeks after that, so I was like, no way is he going to make it to Japan and come with us. Thankfully, we made it across there, but he was still suffering when we flew over. And then straight into Tokyo, and we start drinking again. And it's just do we not learn? Do we not why are we continuously doing this to ourselves? Yeah. And I don't know why we kept on doing it. And looking back now, I'm just why did we do that? But it was just the norm. It was the mentality as a traveler. It was oh, well, we're out, we're in Tokyo. What else are we going to do? Let's go. And we were still, like I say, it's not like we were drinking all day, but we were seeing amazing places in Tokyo, and Tokyo was sick, and in terms of the amount that's there, and the food cuisine's awesome, the people are awesome, the parks are amazing. But we were still going out and getting shit-faced and then singing karaoke and barely making it home.
Sweet Caroline.
I remember waking up one morning to an earthquake and just being am I pissed, or is this an earthquake? Not understanding it was just a hangover. It was oh no, it's an earthquake. Yeah. So I think again, but we weren't thinking of it as a problem or anything really at that point. So we went from there to the hotel we were working at up in the north by a few hours in a place called Hakuba. We were working at separate hotels, and I was like, you know what, mate, this is probably a good thing, right? I mean, our hotels are only
distance.
Yeah. It's only a 20-minute walk away from each other. But it was we need just this little bit of distance to try and so we're not playing off each other too much. But it didn't work. We, it didn't at all. It got worse, to be honest. But this is when he started going down that avenue of being a really aggressive drunk. Now, he was always a little bit aggressive, but not to this point where he would never hit anyone, but he was always saying the wrong stuff. He was always getting in people's faces and causing trouble that everyone else had to then fix while he was off out there hitting on a girl or something.
Yeah, so he dropped the grenade and left.
Yeah, always. And then but there was others who were starting to recognize it, who were friends with him as well, and we in the end had to sit down with him.
Intervention.
Pretty much, yeah. It was almost like you sat in a bar having an intervention. It's brilliant. Yeah.
We're gonna have an intervention while you're drinking at the pub,
while we're all sat around having a drink.
Yeah, and you're gonna have a drink whilst we tell you how bad you're drinking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And but the thing with Japan is so it's really hard to get weed there. So again, we couldn't smoke. I think I smoked 3 joints in the entire time I was in Japan for 6 months. So it was it was a no-go really. So we just turned to alcohol again. So we were just getting properly blackout pissed. And some of the drinks are really strong. In Japan, they have these things called chuhai, which is 9%, which doesn't sound that much, but it's in a can. It tastes like lemonade. So you're drinking lemonade that's getting you properly pissed. It's the that English stuff that the homeless people drink, the
White Lightning.
That sort of thing. Yeah,
Frosty Jacks.
Frosty Jacks. Yeah. It's when you're a student or when you're homeless, you drink that.
Strongbow from the 2 litre bottle.
Yeah,
it's cost you £4 back then.
Oh, that's so rough. It's just paint stripper.
Yeah.
So we were just me and our mate Malou, who again was a big drinker. and him, we were just like still going out lots, but kind of separately. So it was me and Malou going out, and then maybe meeting my mate Ben later, and just, but like to the point where we'd all wake up the next day after being blackout drunk, and we were perfectly fine, like no hangover, nothing. And that's
it paints a picture.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, and like at first you're like, oh right, sweet, I'm a legend.
Yeah,
yeah, fucking legend. I don't get hangovers anymore.
Yeah.
And then after a few weeks, you're like, you're not getting hangovers and getting blackout drunk every night, like 6 times a week.
Maybe there's something there.
It's like, I was like, I've got a problem now. It's like I genuinely have a drinking problem.
Yeah, that was
like,
the first time you realised.
That was the drink aspect of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, before I was like, I'm just having fun.
Yeah.
But in Japan, I was like, oh no.
But did you ever think it was like a problem in the sense that? You knew it was maybe a problem that you were drinking too much to have fun, but this was the point where you realised it was a problem in the sense that you have a drinking problem.
Almost like you have to drink.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, I still like kept on drinking, which is like, you know, when you have a problem but you don't deal with it, but you just kept on going. But it was that realization, it was like, oh, this is stupid, but like I'm still going to do it, but it's still stupid because you don't know how to switch it off. And I think that was like the issue, is like, and because there was all those other people around you who constantly wanted to do that. It was trying to deal with the problem without dealing with it, if that made sense. It was like, oh, maybe I'll have a little less, I'll start a little bit later. Or I'm still going to drink tonight, but rather than...
I'll have 4 instead of 5.
Yeah. But then again, then your mind switches off to it again, and you just go back into it.
Yeah, once you've had that 4th or 5th, you forget what your deal to yourself was, or you don't care anymore what your deal. You're like, do you know what? Next time we'll try.
I'm like, fuck it, I'm 25, I can do what?
When am I ever going to be in Tokyo again?
Yeah. Like, when am I going to be in the mountains where I can go snowboarding in the morning and come back and get pissed on the night? It's just, and I was literally holding down a job where it relied on me being, 24/7. I had to be on call, really, in case there was an issue with a guest, because we just didn't have that many staff or anything. And we wake up at, I think, 5:30 in the morning, cook breakfast for the like everyone staying in the hotel.
So you'd cook the breakfast?
Yeah, I mean, it was just eggs and stuff, but I was going blackout drunk, sleeping for 4 hours or 3 hours, waking up the next day, making breakfast, and then going up snowboarding for a few hours, coming back, doing check-ins and like housekeeping and stuff, and then going out and getting pissed again. So like by 8 o'clock on the night, I was already drinking and like sat behind the reception checking people in with a bottle of wine out of sight from the people checking in, playing card games with my mate, getting absolutely like hammered, and then just being like, oh yeah, we'll check you in, sort of thing. It was just
that's next level. Yeah,
it was a problem.
Yeah, you could say it was a problem. Quite clearly a problem.
And it was like, again, it was just like a substitute in the smoking, because we would prefer to smoke. Like if you were giving us weed over like alcohol, then we would have chose the weed all night every night of the week. We would have just gone out and got stoned every night and had a few drinks. But instead, we were just substituting it with getting really, really blackout, just to feel that kind of some sense of that,
It's escapism.
Yeah, the feeling of it. And it wasn't like we weren't having a good time or we were doing it because we were depressed. We were just doing it to have fun, but it was like something else, really.
Yeah.
Like, none of us were having a bad time. We were all having awesome times. And that was like, I think the reason why we didn't see it as much of a problem was because we were having fun and there was no repercussions to it, I guess. But it was only when it was like in the back of your head, it's like, oh, this isn't right. We're still going to keep doing it. I think like Japan was a really, really heavy one in terms of the drinking aspect of it, and it was like silly drinking when you're waking up, and like, I think even my liver started to hurt and things like that from the excess.
So that started to feel heavy.
Yeah, and I think I was
dull.
Yeah, I was like, all right, maybe at this point I was like, I'll go home for a bit. My sister was getting married, so it was a good excuse to be like, all right, let's go home and maybe readjust. But I went home and I was like, I can't do this. I need to go away again.
How long were you there for?
It wasn't even that long. I think I was home for like a month and a half, 2 months.
Okay,
and then I flew to Australia.
Back to Australia.
Yeah, and I think at this point, I was a bit like, all right, okay, like I knew I had an issue in Japan. I was like drinking too much and stuff like that. But I was going back to a ski resort again. And I think I was like, oh, it can't be as bad as what I've just done. It can't be like New Zealand, or it can't be like Japan in terms of the levels of drinking, right? I'm like in the middle of nowhere, and like literally like where I was staying was like 6 hours from Sydney, like bus ride sort of thing.
Yeah,
and like the closest town was like 2 hours away. So I was like, oh, there's only going to be a few bars and stuff like that, and even them I have to drive to get to. So I was like, oh, there's a bar in the hotel, but I can't be getting pissed in the hotel because there's guests there. And I was so wrong. I was so wrong. And the issue so this guy came along and he knew how to get drugs off the dark net. So he started just ordering all these drugs into the hotel, as well as our mates who had come down from Sydney bringing us stuff as well.
Yeah.
So like they would almost do this like drug run from Sydney into the place we were staying and just keep our supply going. So we just used to give them some money beforehand, and they'd come next week, and it would just kind of keep going like that. And we were taking all sorts of pills there, like uppers, downers, whatever it was. We were just as on top of drinking heavily, on top of smoking heavily.
Fuck, man.
And it was just this like ongoing kind of, I went there and I just work, and I barely did any snowboarding there because I was just getting pissed and taking pills and, you know, smoking all the time. So like my day would be like, oh, well, I've got 5 hours between my shifts. I was like, what do I do? Oh, I'm going to go get stoned. And then
rather than go and experience something outside.
Yeah. And then that was like, I was like, all right, well, why am I not experiencing stuff anymore? Because all the time beforehand I was still doing all this stupid shit, but I was going out and seeing beautiful waterfalls or going on like trips wherever and exploring like these amazing things. But then I became almost numb to it. And even when I was seeing these like amazing beautiful places in Australia, I was like, oh, I've seen nicer.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was the fact that I was like consuming myself with drugs. It was like, oh, I don't have any interest in this anymore.
Yeah, your dopamine is just fucking become defected. It's just, dull, null.
And I mean, like now and then you'd be like, all right, this is cool. But the rest of the time you're like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. And I was like,
I don't care.
I was like, wait, why am I feeling this way? I was like, I'm spending like, now I'm earning money, yes, but I'm like spending a shit ton of money on stupid shit when I could be spending it on adventure and everything else. But I wasn't doing that, and I was becoming just reliant on the drug taking.
Yeah.
And everyone was the same as well. So everyone was just like heavily involved in that aspect. And it's just, oh, what are we doing tonight? Oh, let's take some pills and just go run around or whatever. It wasn't like, oh, let's go down to the local village and meet some people and explore that area and make friends and stuff. It was just like staying in, getting stoned or getting high. And then
the culture aspect of your traveling had sort of gone now.
Yeah,
it's just
it
how
shifted.
high can we go? How fucked up can we get?
Yeah, it shifted from being a trip around the world to a trip around drugs. and
trip around the galaxy. Now.
Yeah. And then, and this is where I met a man. Now, he was probably one of the most important people, I guess, I met, especially in terms of what we're speaking about, because he'd had 3 heroin overdoses and survived them. And he, I was always curious about how he'd done that, you know, how he didn't keep falling down that path after he'd recovered and got over his addiction. And that's when I found out about DMT, and it fascinated me. It really, really did. This idea of going to a different place, but the stories that he would tell me about his experiences on it, and it was what got him over. Well, actually, it was the ayahuasca originally was what got him over. You know, going back to South America, there was that cleansing aspect of the ayahuasca, but DMT is like a kind of slightly different form of that.
Yeah.
So he started telling me a little bit about that and how it helped him get a little bit more clean. Like, don't get me wrong, he was still taking drugs and taking a lot more drugs than the average Joe, but he wasn't killing himself with heroin, which I guess is a positive. So he started introducing me to it and explaining, and there was another guy who was a really big hippie over there, and he used to grow like cacti is where you can get this DMT from. So he used to grow it and harvest it and everything. So the two of them kind of combined, started sharing their experiences with me, and I was like, this is something, you know, I really want to do. But they wouldn't allow me to. And they said, oh, I have to wait 6 months. This is always what they said to me. And every time I asked, they're like, no, you're not ready.
Did they tell you the reason for the 6 months?
They just said it's going to change your life if you take it. And you have to be mentally prepared and understand really what it is, where it comes from. And so if you're going to take that leap, to take it with the right mentality. So they were like teaching me about it, but they were also, you know, showing me documentaries of it. And there's a really good documentary called The Spirit Molecule. I'm not sure if you've ever seen it.
Okay, no.
It's
YouTube?
fascinating. Yeah. And it's about pretty much these scientists who do like proper tests on DMT with like volunteers. So some have got no experience of taking it, some have mild experience, and some have fully broken through. And then you also have them just doing like the placebo people as well.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating because all these people who do break. I mean, it's in, the way they do it is they give them it, not smoking it, but they inject them with this thing so they can fully monitor it and give everyone the exact same amount so they can have a fair level to go off.
Controlled experiment.
Yeah. I'm not a scientist, but yeah, I guess that's what we call it. So they started like putting these kind of, I guess, experiences together into one kind of experiment.
Mm-hmm.
And they started realizing these people were having the same experience and going to the same place and having this kind of, recalling the same images or whatever it might be over and over and over again from these people who were kind of breaking through.
Mm.
And it's a fascinating thing. I won't go into it too much, but yeah, you should try watching it. And
Spirit Molecule.
Yeah,
Right.
Really, really interesting documentary. So after I watched that and kind of gave it 6 months, I said, okay, well, can I come and meet you in Byron Bay? So I made my way up to Byron. He accepted, but it was still a bit hesitant, I guess. And after me living in Byron for a few weeks, I was like, look, can we do it now? You're going to go soon, and I've not experienced this one thing that I wanted to do for months and months and months now.
I've been away. I've
been like learning about it, reading about it, all
Yeah.
sorts. And I thought by that point I've been traveling for nearly 3 years. I was like, look, come on, how open can my mind possibly be? I've tried every other drug that's out there pretty much. Apart from like injecting myself with heroin or anything.
Yeah.
I've ticked off most things on the list. It's like finally he kind of gave in and was like, you know what, yeah, we'll sit down and we'll do a proper kind of what you call like a ceremony with it. So I rented out this like quite nice little place by a pond, which is part of like the hostel, but it's like a private little cabin.
Yeah.
And we was like cleansing the spirits of what you call them, with like burning incense and around my head and all this sort of stuff. And I'm sat there like, all right, okay, embrace it. Don't take this skeptical view that you might have done 3 years ago, being like a dirty hippie. Like, take him in and listen to him. And the first time, you have to take 3 kind of tokes of it to really have the effect. But after, it tastes disgusting. So the first one you hit, you feel like you're about to like cough your lungs out. He just like literally sticks the pipe on me again and goes, breathe, sort of thing. So I'll breathe in the second, and I can barely even know who I am at the point of like taking in the third. And then I just kind of fall back into my chair, and this weirdest sound occurs. And all I can say, it's like a vibrating wave sound. It's like a vroom, vroom, vroom,
Okay.
vroom, and I'm just like, what is going on here? And all like the trees and your image just kind of starts to like blur into one, almost like the vibrations are causing like your image to move and not become an image anymore. And then you kind of fall back and you kind of shoot up, I guess is the only way of describing it, which a lot of these people describe on the Spirit Molecule. And so I kind of shoot out the top of your head and have this kind of outer body experience, but you're almost in like a tunnel, like a kaleidoscope. You're looking into a kaleidoscope and it's all changing, but there's these 2 angels that, like, the only thing that you can describe them as angels that are taking you up.
Wings?
But like it's more like they're made out of like diamonds. Like the faces are all like jagged and everything's like, it is like
chiseled.
it's like a diamond. Yeah, it's not like chiseled though. It's like a diamond face.
Right. Okay.
And it's all these like crazy kaleidoscopes of things, while these 2 angels are like, say what I can describe as angels take you up. So you're just rushing through this kaleidoscope of color, and then eventually opens out, and there's nothing really. It's not like a here and now in terms of like, oh, I'm in this room and then I'm in the next. It's just like it merges in, and I just become in this other place, and I know my body's there, but I've no connection with my body at all. Like I'm in what I describe as a different universe or a different dimension is what most people call it.
So do you feel like you know where you are physically, and you know mentally that your body is a part of you, but you're not a part of it?
Yeah.
That kind of...
It's kind of like you're somewhere else. You can kind of, in your peripherals, almost see your body, but you have no way of getting to that body, and you have no connection with that body. And the only thing that I really remember from the connection with my body is struggling to breathe.
Okay.
I remember that being like a really, like in my head is like, you're not breathing properly. When you're like short for a breath, you're like,
yeah.
It's like that sort of like shallow breath that you felt, and that was the only connection I felt with my body. But I knew that someone was next to me and could maybe potentially get me back if I was in that state.
So you went through like another.
So yeah, it became like kind of the world like kind of that I was in like opened up, and all I could see in the far like end of this, I guess, on the horizon was a golden city with like kind of things floating over the top of it, and it's like bright gold, like almost like radiating out with a path leading to this city.
Mm-hmm.
But as I started to kind of make my way down this path, this woman, but not like so much as a woman that you see in your face, but almost the I guess the spirit, or like the feeling of a woman, you know, like love, of that thing of your mother,
Yeah,
or like, you know, so maybe someone who you've been madly in love with, and when you see them, you have that kind of heartfelt warmth. Yeah. And that's probably the only way I could describe it. Yes, you kind of see this silhouette of a woman, but it's not really, that's not what you're feeling. It's more just the overall. Like,
yeah. You're not sensing so much with your sight. It's more with your sense of feeling. Yeah.
Exactly. And there's always this thing, and, you know, and this is what I was always told, was like, oh, prepare a question. Because apparently
in your mind?
Yeah, well, it's like, almost like a prepare a question to ask.
When
no one tells you when, you know, when I've been learning about this stuff, is who are you going to ask?
Yeah.
But everyone always tells you to prepare a question. And I'd been thinking about, is it the meaning of life? Is that what I'm supposed to ask? Is it that sort of deep?
Yeah.
But
what's for dinner?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Did my dick really disappear when I was tripping on acid? I don't know. But I think it's, you know, I think I was in my head, I was like, I don't know what question I'm going to ask. And this is one of the things that why this other guy thought I wasn't ready, because I never really knew this question. Like, I don't really, you know, the meaning of life, what is that? Like, you know, someone.
That's a very broad question.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what I asked, and I didn't say it, but it was like, what do I do? And I think that's kind of the question I asked, and not so much in words, but in the way, again, back to like this feeling. And the answer that I got was to go home to find love. Now, again, like,
and was that verbally, or was that again a feeling?
Again, it was that feeling. And at the time, I didn't really understand it, if I'm being honest. Like, I didn't pick up on what the answer was. And it wasn't until, like, on reflection afterwards that it started to come back to me in terms of what the answer was.
Yeah.
And, you know, after that, then things started to merge back, and I started to kind of gradually fall back into my body, is what I'd class it as. And it started to, like, re-emerge, and this is when I was really struggling with my breathing at this point. And I don't know how long I was out. I think it was only like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and I had no distinguishing of, like, time. But pretty much I'd, like, experienced it probably a short. Some people are in there for a lot longer, and for my first time, and to break through my first time was quite a unique experience. Most people don't. So again, it was this, like, you know, feeling that I've accomplished what I set out to do. But the only thing I could get into my head afterwards is, all right, I need to go home. I need to find this love that this thing is telling me about. I didn't know where it was, or what it was, or who it was.
What kind of love.
Yeah. It didn't need to be a person, but it was just like, all right, find that love. And I think I really struggled for a long time after that. And I think this also led to my mental health issues that I then kind of had. And I still messaged, you know, I think 2 years afterwards, saying I still don't fully understand what happened to me. And he's like, oh, you never fully, truly understand, because nobody does. But it's about how you overcome it and how you move past it, and also learn from what it told you. But it was, after that trip, was, you know, the feeling of love that I had in my body was like, I was like sleeping with a girl at the time, and she was like, I've never seen you like this before. And she's like, you've never been so open and loving and everything else, and like happy and all sorts. So I think that kind of really gave me this feeling of going back to that, what that guy said about his wife taking ayahuasca and like giving out love to everybody. And I don't think that was what they were telling me, but I think that's how I kind of just felt at the time, from this euphoria. But I also was like, soon after, I was like, okay, I need to leave this place. Like, Byron was no longer good for me. I've been taking like a lot of drugs. I've been, you know, it wasn't just the DMT. It was me taking, you know, acid and mushrooms, mixing them both together, and, you know, skipping along the Byron, like front of Byron Bay, thinking I'm on the Yellow Brick Road sort of stuff. So it was getting like, I was starting to go down a rabbit hole, past what I was before, and back to that heavy, like it wasn't Lao and other stuff of being like, oh yeah, let's try this. Try this. So I left, and I went by myself. I kind of left everyone else behind who I'd been with at that point. I was like, all right, I think I just need to see a bit of Australia by myself. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And then I started feeling really, really lonely again when I went off by myself. And, you know, again, going back to that loneliness of filling it with other stuff, but I wasn't filling it with anything.
Okay.
I just kind of stopped. Like, I'd have the odd beer, say, and like, you know, they were sat in a hostel, but I was going to the hostels and I was just kind of exploring again, but I wasn't like heavily drinking and I wasn't like smoking weed or anything.
You were slowing down a wee bit.
Massively. I kind of just was like, all right, something's changed. And then I got to, I think it was a place called like Cairns or something like that, or just before there. It was like really, really far up north on the east coast of Australia. And again, I broke down, and that was the third time I like kind of broke down. So the first night, second time was with my mate Ben
In Penang?
and then the third time was sat on a rock in the middle of nowhere in Australia, and I just cried and cried and cried and cried for I think 45 minutes, and I just couldn't stop.
Do you know what brought it on in that moment? Do you know now what brought it on reflection?
I think I came to the realization that I had to stop and I had to go home.
And you didn't want to go home, or?
I think I didn't want to, because I felt like it was me giving up.
Yeah.
But I also think I realized that I needed to. But it was like that juxtaposition of knowing what you want against kind of what you kind of feel like you should do. I think.
Yeah.
And like, I would love to keep on traveling
Yeah, it's
and
more
seeing the
about
world.
what you want and what you need.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's a better way
Yeah.
of saying it. And then, but in my head, it was like, they were like, oh, you can't do this anymore. I think in my head, it was like,
I'm done.
Yeah. I was like, I've hit my limit. You know, that, and it was DMT, I think, that kind of showed me that. But I think it was also what this spirit or whatever you want to call it told me was, and I see it as God personally.
Yeah.
I think that was God. And I always say, oh, like, God's a woman. And like, that's my wholehearted belief. That's what I believe in terms of, if you want to call it a religion or anything else, that what I saw, that was is the closest I've been to seeing proof of any sort of afterlife or
Another being of anything.
or something of
Higher
power.
power.
Like, that's the only experience I've ever had with it. I've gone to churches, synagogues, temples.
Yeah.
We've been to many, but I've never felt a spirituality until I've seen that.
So how long? How long was it from DMT to the moment on the rock?
Probably like, I'd say a month.
Okay.
Maybe 3 weeks.
So was there a lot of work going on inside of you, like inside your mind, or did it?
I think it was
that
just
rock
like
moment happened quite quickly.
I couldn't switch off to that, like the DMT experience
What was
up
it?
until
What
that
did I
point.
see?
Yeah,
What
that
did it
was
mean?
that was the only thing on my mind at that point. Nothing else like even came. All I was thinking about was my experience. Like I just lost myself in it.
It's mad though, because you probably did experience what a lot of people haven't, in the sense of, I think it would trip anyone out. I mean, I'm not saying that it's they're real stories or not, but you hear people that say they've had extraterrestrial experiences and that they can't get that out of their head. So you've done that through like a spiritual way, or through your own mind rather than your body. Do you know what I mean? You've gone somewhere, you've seen something, and now you don't know how to explain it to yourself or to anyone really. Or
and I think anyone who has experienced like DMT would kind of agree. It's like a very personal but also a shared experience. Like, it's very rare that you'll speak to another person who's taken it, especially in my line of work these days, or in terms of just generally who you meet. And most people don't open up about it, because it is still quite a taboo. But in terms of, for me, I just couldn't switch off to what experience I'd had. Just that was the only thing in my mind for months. Even, like I said, a year and a half, 2 years after, it was something I thought about every day. Yeah. And it had a huge impact on me. But kind of breaking down on that rock was when I was like, all right, okay. The next day, I think I woke up and I booked tickets again to Cambodia.
Fuck's sake, Matt. Stop going to Cambodia.
And at this point, it was like, all right, that's my final hurrah.
Yeah.
It's like, I knew I needed to go home.
Time.
I knew I needed to go home, but I wasn't ready just at that moment.
Yeah.
I was like, I knew I hated Australia, to be honest. I didn't like Australia that much. I didn't have the best time in Australia. Like, I enjoyed aspects of it, but I didn't make the use out of it, and I did it in the wrong way. Yeah. But it still taught me a lot. But I was again, I just wanted to get out. So I was like, all right, but I'm not ready to go home at this point. My mental health's not there. Like, there's an issue. I knew there was an issue.
Yeah, there's like a scratch you need to itch. No, an itch you need to scratch still.
Yeah, it was like, it's a final hurrah. Is how I saw it. I was like, I've done all this crazy shit, right? Let's just
survived so far.
Yeah, I'm gonna have one more blowout. Yeah, push myself to that final limit and then go home.
Yeah. Push myself to that fucking. I'm gonna push myself right to the edge, and then I'm gonna go home. Yeah. I promise.
So, flew to Cambodia. I think I can't remember if I went directly or not, but anyway, I got there and went back to the island.
Koh Rong?
Koh Rong. So, It was the second time I've been to the island, but third time I've been to that general island section. And I actually knew a few people who were there, so I think that was why I wanted to go as well, because it was like, oh, these guys I can trust. I have a lot of time for them. Quite spiritual people as well. And like a guy called Joe was like really kind of an anchor at that point. He had like experienced a lot, but then got very heavily into like spiritual things and like, you know, yoga and silent retreats, meditation. That you know,
The
full on
full
hippie
travel kind of starter. You know?
But he wasn't like obnoxious with it or pretentious with it. He was just wise with it, is what I would say.
How long had he been away for?
A couple of years, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so a fair amount of time, but on and off a little bit more than me, I think.
So you were the pro.
No, I would say like, I mean, he'd done like really unique experiences. Like some of the stuff I was very jealous of. Actually, it's quite rare I got jealous of what people had done, because I was always the one that, you know, other people wanted to do the shit that I'd done. Whereas him, it was like, oh, I want to do the shit that you've done.
It's you find that though when you're traveling, like you always felt like you were trying to like do something as cool or cooler than what everyone else was doing in the hostel. Do you know what I mean? If like someone was saying, oh, I've done this, you were like, well, I'm going to do that, or I'm going to do something better. Like, I want a story, because these have all got stories. I need my stories. Yeah.
And I think this is why you keep pushing yourself to do stupid shit, because you're like, oh, it's a story, right? It's like, oh, this is someone will enjoy this.
When we're done, we'll go back and tell everyone at the hostel we're just done. Yeah. And you might not get back.
Yeah, it's like trying to be like, oh, you went to the waterfall. Yeah, I did this.
I climbed it.
I jumped off it. So I think so I went back to there, and like I knew there was a few guys that could just like keep me at least in a little bit of like, all right, I can chat to them, they'll have an open ear for me. So I got there and I found a little like beach bar to work at, and this place sold, you know, space cakes, and weed's really easy to get to in Cambodia. So I was like, all right, again, went back to I was smoking a lot in Australia as well, so like a lot more than usual and quite heavy stuff, and I think that was probably also caused So I was like, all right, I'll go back to bushweed, where I can buy, it was like 100 grams for $100. And it was a good job we didn't find out about this, by the way, when we were over there. Yeah. Because we would never have left.
No.
And literally, like, they would like sell it on the stick and on the stem and stuff. But anyway, so I was like, all right, I know I can go there. And it's a lot of drug taking over there. But I kind of kept it under wraps. I was still drinking, but not like super, super badly. I was smoking too much, yes. Like literally, I never had a joint out of my mouth. I remember for Christmas Day, I rolled, I bought 100 grams for $100, and I rolled everyone who worked on the island a joint. Like, there was 40 of us. So I stayed up.
How long did that take you?
A while, yeah. I think I stayed up till about 4 a.m. rolling joints for Christmas Day. And it was the only present I could think of giving everyone.
That's commitment.
Yeah, honestly, my hands were killing me at the end of it. But after rolling 40 joints or something.
Get arthritis because you rolled that many joints one night.
I just stayed up for ages. And you know those like big kiln jar things?
Yeah.
I literally filled one of those with joints. And like they weren't like small, like little tiny joints you see here, like everywhere. It's like, you know, the fatties. Because it's bushweed as well.
Like fucking marijuana samples.
So like, I went in and I was like, hey, everyone, and everyone lights it up at the same time. And honestly, the whole thing just like billows out into smoke, and everyone's just dancing on this DJ, just getting stoned, and like all like, you know, people passing it around because there's other people like partying, but I just kind of did it for the ones I knew. Yeah. So we start having this like blowout around Christmas, and I'm like, all right, I'm going back on the 10th or the 12th of January. I was like, I've not got long left. I've got 2 weeks left of. 2-3 weeks of this. So I was like, all right, like, you know, I need to have a final, you know, a last big one. So it gets like a couple of days before New Year's, or a day before New Year's Eve. So we start to party. So we're like, all right, New Year's Eve's coming up. Let's get ready for it. So I didn't sleep. Well, I slept 3 or 4 hours in 3 days straight, and I was taking like anything I could get my hands on, from like ketamine that we used to cook ourselves, to like shrooms, to whatever, like, you know, pills or something that like anyone could have. It was just like whatever we had, we took.
And was that because you were like, I might not be coming back to this? So
I knew this was the end. In my head, I knew it was the end. So it was like, all right, okay, you just go for it. Like, just push your boundaries. But it's stupid. But like in my head, I was just like, all right, it's the last one. I can't do this if I go home. Like, I knew when I go home, that's it. That's me. Like, this is not going to happen again.
I'm hanging the traveling boots up.
Exactly.
The backpack's going on the wall.
Yeah. To be honest, it needed probably be burning the amount. But anyway, and So yeah, I had this crazy 3 days, and yeah, like I say, I even worked like 2 of those days, and I don't even barely remember any of it. I worked like 2 6-hour shifts, slept for about like say about 4 or 5 hours a total in 3 days, and it was like a mix of like deprivation plus like heavy drug taking of like whole mix of
Dehydration.
Yeah, and plus just drinking on top of it as well. And there'd be like one point where you'd like the sun would come up and you'd be like, all right, it's the next day, like let's just keep going. And you just kept on going, on going. And by the end of that, I was just fucked.
Sleep when you're dead.
Yeah, classic sleep when you're dead, Eddie. Yeah. But I think I needed it in my head. Probably not, the body didn't definitely need it.
Yeah.
But I think for me to like say that's me done, I needed those 3 days just to be like, all right, that was you. That's, that sums up your trip in a way of like, all right, you've gone for it. You've given every little thing a shot. And soon I went home after that. And I think that's when really the mental health issues kicked in. Mm. So, I mean, I went home and I was helping build this house that my parents were doing. And they were like knocking half this bungalow down and rebuilding it all. I was like, all right, this will settle me for 6 months or something, and I'll be with my family. I haven't spent any time with them over the last 3 years.
Calm down a little bit.
Just like have a bit of normality, home cooked meals, like on bed.
Decent meal.
Yeah, like I was very like ragged when I came back. My hair was down to my nipples. I was like
feral.
Probably malnourished. Yeah, it was feral. Yeah, I was 100% feral. And that's what my parents called me. They said you're feral.
You're feral.
And yeah, thanks for that. But I was like the outcast, right? And coming back and you look like a piece of shit and your skin's all weathered, you're skinny in all the wrong places and fat in their overs. And I mean, it's clear, but like, probably not now looking back at it, you probably thought you looked like awesome. I was like a traveler, But,
Tan, mate. What are you talking about?
I remember going to my local shop and I had like a backpack on me, and I walked up to buy something from the shop and the one was like, oh, we don't serve the homeless here.
Fucking
like,
hell.
Fuck.
Yeah. I am feral.
Yeah.
I am feral.
And they pretty much shooed me out the door. I was like, are you joking?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not homeless.
I have money.
Yeah.
Promise.
But so I looked rough, but I just didn't see it in my head, right? And this is probably the problem when you're traveling, everyone else looks a bit rough, so you don't see it yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, me and my parents have a big fallout because I start smoking weed again just to kind of deal with this loneliness that I was kind of having and this rejection of the traveling that I was doing. I'd gone from being able to do anything that I want at all points of any moment in time to not being able to do anything because I was under my parents' house and under their rules. And not that they were particularly strict parents, but they didn't like drug taking and all the rest of it.
But it's still as compared to what you were living, it's lack of that freedom as well.
Yeah. And to tell your parents when you go into the corner shop, like, I've not told anyone where I'm going. If I'm even crossing a border to a country. Never mind going to the corner shop, which is 100 meters
by the way,
down
I'm not allowed in because she thinks I'm fucking homeless.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, well, I've got literally gone from
your own man
being the man to being a boy again.
And
like,
and that was hard to deal with for you.
And for me, I was getting really annoyed by every little thing, and so I started like smoking. But English weed's fucking strong
compared to the bush stuff.
Yeah. It's I mean, compared to most places in the world, English weed's strong these days. It's heavy. I mean, it's all just like synthetic crap these days, right?
Yeah,
but it's just what can make you this more stoned.
Internally grown or inside, lamps and it's all.
So, let's just start smoking more and more and more. And obviously my parents picked up on this and then they pretty much turned around to me and told me I had problems that I need to see a psychiatrist. So in my head, I didn't see that. Because again, you don't admit you've got a problem, right? And I was just like, kind of, fuck you, no, I'm moving to London, see you later. So I lasted 6 months at home, and I went straight down to London as soon as I got a job. I started working in like luxury hotels, I won't say which, but having these like kind of cool experiences again. I was meeting like celebrities and prime ministers and stuff like that. But I was still smoking weed, but way too much weed.
And again, lonely.
Yeah. And this was the big thing, was loneliness that got to me. So I wasn't talking to my parents. I didn't have any friends in London. I just kind of moved down there, and it was just the work people that I knew and was friendly with them. I had like a couple of people that I knew, but wasn't, again, making the effort to go out because I was just in the wrong place. And then COVID hits. And so for the first, I think, 3 weeks of COVID, I was smoking about an ounce a week.
Fuck, okay, that's a lot.
So it was heavy, and like an ounce of heavy English
joints,
weed.
Yeah, big fat joints.
I wake up, have a fatty, like you were saying before, an hour later have one, an hour later have one, but that was all day.
Yeah.
As soon as you're up,
you were smoking joints like someone would smoke cigarettes.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not cheap to do that either, right?
Mate.
So I was burning through money, and especially in England, it's not
That's
anywhere.
not
It's not cheap to smoke like weed, but when it's like that sort of thing, and I wasn't earning much money. I was just as a server, as a waiter sort of thing.
Yeah.
So like loads of my money would go on rent, the rest of it would go on weed, and then some would just go on shitty food.
Nando's.
Yeah, not even that. Like just
Nando's.
like like the cheap sausages from Lidl, that sort of thing.
Greg's.
Yeah. Not even eating out, mate. Just like just like the cheap chicken you get from the supermarket.
The fucking
and,
Lidl brand beans.
Yeah. So I just just smoking, and then that's when the mental problems really got bad, and I got to a point where, and this is maybe a bit of a sad thing to bring up, but I was considering taking my own life.
Okay.
And I haven't told that many people this. I've started to open more about it, but my family doesn't know this. My partner does, and this is one of the and maybe a few other people that I went to this group therapy thing that was part of work, and I actually opened up about it because a lot of other people were opening up about stuff.
How long was that into your London experience that those thoughts started?
Probably a year, maybe a little bit less than a year, I would say.
Okay.
And it was it kind of came very suddenly. It was building up to that, but then it just really hit me. And I kept on kind of going back to this experience of DMT. I was like, well, why has this thing told me to come home and find love and everything else?
And it's all
this
gone
is
to
what,
shit.
Yeah. And I just couldn't understand it. And this is when I messaged Evan. I was like, I just don't understand what's going on. I don't understand the world really anymore. I couldn't put my finger on it, what it was, but I was just the
you're
lowest
lost,
point.
aren't you?
Yeah.
At that point, you're lost in whatever it is. Yeah.
And it was, and again, obviously drug taking is not helping, but I wasn't drinking really then. I was just smoking shit tons, and obviously that brings you really far down sometimes. And it was to the point where I was about to run a bath, and unfortunately, and bring out the razor blades, and that was me.
So you had thoughts on how?
I knew how I'd do it, and at the time, because it was COVID, everyone had moved out of the flat, so it would have just been me, and no one would have had a found out until it was way too late.
Yeah.
I wasn't with a girlfriend at the time. The friends that I had made, they were all off from COVID, so they'd gone back to Europe or home or whatever it was, and I was just kind of stuck by myself in London. And as I was going to do it, and then I was
so you were
no, yeah, I was literally running a bath.
You were in the moment, yeah.
Yeah, I was literally running a bath and about to get ready for it.
Fucking hell, Matt.
And I was like, no, this isn't me.
Yeah.
I was just something clicked, and I was like, you've just spent the last 3 years up until this point doing the craziest, amazing things, and you that everyone in the world would possibly want, and possibly is always saying how jealous they are of what I've done, and the experiences are no one else has experienced, and I'm just throwing it away. And it was just something suddenly clicked as I was walking over almost to run the bath. It was wait, no, this isn't this isn't the way out, sort of thing. If I can do this before, I can do it again, or I can do something else where I'm the person that I can be, and the best I can be, rather than this. And it wasn't until that kind of bath was full, and I was like, no, this isn't the way. And there was a sudden change after that. Don't get me wrong, it was these thoughts were still in the back of my head, and I realized I could get to that point again. But I also knew I can overcome it, and I knew I had the strength to do, like I said, these amazing things and meet all these amazing people, and let's get back to that. And I say, as much as it was a change, it wasn't the lights didn't flick off and flick on, but it was more just in my head, I was I just suddenly kind of changed the mindset of what potentially I can be again. And so I almost flipped it over and was almost by punishing myself, I started exercising loads. Yeah. So every time I went to have a joint, I'd do sit-ups or press-ups or something like that. So I was and I was still smoking, because I couldn't suddenly go from smoking an ounce a week to not smoking at all, because I think that would have made it even more of an issue in terms of the mental health issues I was having. But I was just trying to reduce it. I was all right, you're only allowed to use it just to have a sleep, late on at night, and that's it.
Or once you feel you've achieved something, then maybe have
a
joint.
So I was like cycling for like, I mean, again, the city was shut down, so we were allowed to go out for like an hour or something a day, but I was like going for like 3 hour cycle rides and just cycling and cycling and cycling, doing like 30, 40 miles on my bike, and then coming home doing sit-ups and press-ups and almost like treating it like prison. And then
what do you think made that like?
I think I just needed a focus.
Yeah, okay.
Like I needed something to be like, all right, this is the reason why you get out of bed, and this is like, even like I had nothing else to do, right? I couldn't go to work. There was no work.
Yeah.
So it was like, well, how else do I get my way out of this? And I think that was the problem before, is I was just coasting through and then just smoking shit tons, and then that was me. I was like happy doing that. And then I like got to that like lowest point that I got to, where I was, running the bath to end things. Then it was like, oh well, like, all right, you need something else. You need something else to fix on, to focus all that attention.
An outlet.
Yeah, you can't go back to drugs. You can't go back to drinking in terms of that heavily. It's not. This is what it's led to. This is the like implications of the actions that I've had over the last few years.
Yeah.
So like that needs to change. And it was like, well, I haven't exercised in ages. I haven't been looking after myself, apart from like cycling back and forward to work, which is 6 miles a day or something. It's not that far.
It's not bad, mate.
It's all right.
6 miles more than I do.
Yeah, true. But it wasn't like doing me any good in terms of, it wasn't focusing my attention.
Yeah.
So then, the exercise was a way of getting out, and I started meditating again and doing stuff like yoga and other things like that to kind of calm myself, rather than go into like weed to like calm down. And it, like, don't get me wrong, it wasn't straight away that I stopped having these thoughts, but it started to be less frequent and less, prominent in my head. It wasn't until I got in that routine of exercise and I started to feel kind of good about myself again. And one of my good friends, and I owe a lot to her for kind of forcing me to kind of go on a date. So I hadn't been on a date for a year and a half by that point. And as I was like working my way out of this, I started to get, started to look better. I cut all my hair off, so I'd gone from, having hair down to my nipples just to having probably how it is now, a lot shorter, kind of crew cut style, I guess. I was physically in a great shape.
I was going to ask, were you in good shape then after all that?
Yeah. I was like the best shape I've ever been in. After like 3-4 months of just exercise, I was like looking great, and my confidence was up because I was looking good. And then she was like, all right, okay, you're clearly doing better. I've seen where you were. She didn't know about me wanting to commit suicide, but she knew I was like obviously going through some bad stuff. So she was like, oh, I've got a friend. Do you want to go out on a date with her? I think you'd be quite well suited. She's like, you don't have to commit to this girl, but just put yourself out there a bit. So I followed her lead, and so I went out and started dating again, and I started finding the joys of that sort of stuff rather than just going home and smoking. And like taking my, like, being like, rather than going out and putting myself forward, I'd just be like, all right, I'll smoke. Whereas now I was like, oh, well, let's go on a date. Or I started to ask people out on dates as well.
Yeah. You found a bit of life again.
Yeah.
Purpose.
And I was like
meaning.
Socializing again. And as we came out of COVID, I really kind of pushed myself. I focused on work. So I was like, all right, if I'm going to work, and I'm going to be the best person at work, that's going to be, I guess my drug is to like be the best person I can be.
Yeah.
To keep fit, to get promoted or whatever it might be. And I think that really
addicted to being the best version of yourself at that point.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, which is, and I still know I'm not the best person of myself yet. And I go up and down. Don't get me wrong, I slip up still. I think we all do. Still like to have a joint now and then. But like it doesn't rule my life anymore. If I drink, I have more control over it. Mass majority of the time. Again, not all the time.
You have your days or nights.
I think we all do, even a lot of the time, and I still slip up. But I don't think there's anything wrong with that as long as you know how to then get back out of it again. And so I think it really kind of gave me that purpose of being like, all right, rather than you being focused on the weed or pushing yourself to your limit of what you think's acceptable, like, kind of come down to what society kind of wants a little bit more in terms of acceptable, and be a better person. I reconnected with my family, who I hadn't really spoken to at that point for a year. And my dad was, another reason why was my dad got second cancer. So I was like trying to, I wanted to reconnect with him as well. And he was obviously getting really like upset about me not having a relationship with him anymore while he was going through this thing. And like, it wasn't acceptable for me to be doing that either. And I realized, like, just because I had my problems, that doesn't mean my family have to have that problem as well. And that was hard to, rekindle it, but we got there, and we're in a better place than we've ever been now, which is amazing. But I think, again, going back to the DMT experience, I still felt like something was missing. As much as it told me to come back home and for love, that I hadn't found that home, I haven't found that love yet. Which is when I went to this kind of group therapy thing, and this was maybe, I think probably like a year after I wanted to commit. And I knew this girl in this hotel that I'd been working with, and I was obsessed with her, but I didn't really, like, I didn't never told her that. I just, like, kind of, she was always there, and I always maybe picked up a bit of a vibe off her, but then I wasn't really too sure.
Yeah, didn't want to commit too much yet.
Yeah, and, like, again, I wasn't ready as well.
Yeah,
It was been a long process that it took, like, good year to get me to a state where I was getting closer to being me again. I'd had some, like, hurdles along the way, but I thought, you know, I'm pretty much there now, right? And she'd made a couple of maybe advances, or at least a few looks before, but I was like, no, I'm not ready. And we actually, like, kissed one time, and then this was like 10 months later. And I'd barely said a word to her since then, because I knew I wasn't ready in myself.
Yeah.
And maybe she didn't understand that, but, like, for me, I wasn't ready. So we do this big group therapy thing, and people start to open up about certain things, like, you know, having abuse in childhood or other things. And so I opened up about the struggles that I'd had, not in full details about the drug taking aspect of it, but about wanting to commit suicide. And that's when we actually connected, because I opened up to her about, I know we had like a chat one-on-one, and was like, look, as much as we had this moment at this time ago, and I know you're pissed off with me for not kind of following up, it's like I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah.
And I would have impacted your life if we had gone into something like that. 3 years later now, and we're still together, and I think that was what I was told to come back to.
Okay.
Was that love and that, you know, home feeling, which I have now, and I feel, you know, supported, and I also feel like I support her, whereas before I just supported myself at all times. And that, like, you know, what we were saying about before is that selfishness that we loved when we were traveling because of that independence, but it hasn't got a long term to it.
Yeah.
Whereas I think that was what kind of brought me home, and eventually I found it, but I think I was always annoyed that it wasn't instant.
Yeah. It's the
that instant gratification that we're used to in this world.
Yeah.
You know?
Especially for all the drug taking, everything was instant. Everything that you wanted to chase, you could get, you know, quickly.
And that's what I want always, all the time, is like a quick, instant change.
Make me feel good now. Yeah, I don't want to wait a day or two or a week, or I need it now. Yeah.
And I still have that in a way. Like I'm still in a, like, waiting in the shopping, like, you know, to buy my food shop. I have to wait in a line. I'm like, no, I want it now. Like, I don't want this, like, after that next person. Like, hurry the fuck up and get out of the way. Yeah. Still have that instant gratification, but I think we all do these days. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I still now and then feel like, oh, I want to take some mushrooms and trip my balls off. But it's not like, you know, it's once every, you know, year that I sometimes feel like this now. No, whereas before it was every day.
Yeah, and it's not just going to go away, you know, especially the experiences you've had and the amount that you've consumed, and, you know, the fun you've gained through it. You're going to have that. There's always going to be that little part of you that wants to rekindle with those memories, but that's what they are, they're memories. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to be the same as what it was, and that's where I think myself anyway, I didn't want my partying to stop, because I always wanted to live the lifestyle that I had when I didn't have any responsibility, you know, when you're sort of just coming out of school and you're traveling, etc. So, but when you grow up, there's that, you then start to realize I have shit I need to do, and I can't live like that, and I need to leave that where it was and enjoy the memory of it, and now create some new ones, because, you know, I'm moving forward with my life.
And I don't regret anything that I did, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, as
no,
much
you shouldn't,
as
it's built you to who you are.
Exactly. And, like, you know, I think the worst thing you can do is regret anything in life, because that's what people always say on your deathbed. You regret the things you didn't do rather than the ones that you did. And
there's not a lot you didn't do when you were out there.
Yeah. and that's, you know, if I die tomorrow, I'll die a happy man.
Yeah, you've answered your DMT question.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, as much as, you know, I did some stupid shit, I don't, like, regret that at all. I think like you were saying, it makes you the person who you are, and gives you the character that you have and everything else.
Yeah, for good and bad.
And yes, I miss, like you were saying, I miss what we did, but I don't need to go back to what we did.
Yeah.
As much as I miss it, and much as I want to relive those moments, I know it wouldn't be the same thing. I know I don't have the capacity to do that anymore, probably.
The body might not hold up anymore. You might be the guy in the bed shitting himself this time.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, how am I going to take that trip this time?
Yeah.
You know? Like,
is it worth it?
Yeah. And I don't think it really is. Like, I don't have that craving like I did. I enjoyed those times so much. I just relive them in my head, you know, now and then. But it's not something that I'm like, all right, I need to do that again.
No.
Because I think there was a time, there was a place for it. It was a unique experience like the one you had. But exactly. I think if you try to chase that again, like that's going back to that chasing that high almost.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's chasing that high of traveling. All right, well, where's that going to lead if I don't have that same high that I had last time?
Exactly.
You know, it's going to go to drugs.
More. Yeah, something higher. Yeah. But like you just said there, it's exactly that. It's unique. So you're never going to have that again because it was unique.
Yeah.
And that's what I failed, and probably you failed, and maybe many other people failed to understand is you're trying to chase an experience or a memory that's unique and it's never going to be repeated, but we believe we can repeat it by having one last hurrah, or like going up maybe another level, or I'll take 2 tablets this time to try and do what one did. But really, you're putting yourself into oblivion. Like, you don't know where you're going to end
and in danger.
Yeah,
as
exactly.
Well.
Yeah,
like, and I think, you know, going back to all of the amount of substance stuff it is, I was putting myself in danger. Like, I'm sure you've put yourself in danger.
Yeah.
Whether it's, you know, excess drugs or it's drinking too much that you fall over and you know,
or
crack
being
your
around
head
the wrong people. Yeah,
and well, that's a big thing about it, is the people, right?
Yeah.
But I think it doesn't mean that we have to be, you know, boring or like you know, other stuff. Like, we still have fun, but it's just appreciating the different things in life and not chasing a high that's, you know, comes out of smoking something, right? It's the highs of other things. But
so what's your new purpose? What's your new high you're chasing now? Is it family? Settle down?
Yeah, I think it's like having a bit of consistency I like these days. It doesn't mean it's like boring consistency. Like, I'm in Copenhagen because I've opened up a new hotel and you know, and having like a really unique experience doing that. And since I've worked in the industry that I've worked in, I've met these incredible people, not just the celebrities or the billionaires or
the prime
ministers, stuff like this. It's, you know, which I never thought I would do, sitting on the beach in Cambodia,
the man
myself
contemplating
to
whether to sleep in a bush in Penang is now shaking hands with the fucking prime minister.
Exactly. And I'm not saying I'm an important person, because I'm not. Because these are just the people that I look after who don't even acknowledge you most of the time.
Yeah.
But it's the experiences that are like, you know, that I have with that is really like unique, and the job that I do can be quite unique as well. But it's also, I don't know, I like having a bit more of a purpose for someone to come home to somebody and aim for something. I created like a really nice like family and extended family from it, and I still love to travel, right? And even this year alone, I think I've done a trip through Italy. I've been to Copenhagen. I've been to France twice, and then I just come back from Rhodes. I've been to 4 countries this year alone already. So it's not like I'm still not traveling. I'm still doing stuff. It's just
differently
getting shit faced while I'm doing it. So
I'm remembering it a bit more.
Yeah.
Or I can differentiate between the days now.
Yeah. I don't lose a day like you. So
lose a day.
But I think
I'm still trying to get over fucking you making me try opium. I didn't fucking know. That's rattled me. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, like I say, I think a bit of normality is good, right?
Yeah.
And like, and again, I've still got those memories. I've still got those stories that I can relive, and it's lovely. Like I said, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to meet with you, is after not seeing each other in
close to 10 years. Maybe.
Yeah, it's been a long time, but you know, to relive those like memories is lovely, and it's like as much as some of the stuff we talk about isn't I guess probably the funniest looking back at it, you know, and the dangers that we got into it. It's almost that like, you know,
feeling,
like we got out of that one.
Yeah, that could have ended badly. Yeah,
there's also some like, you know, some really beautiful experiences you have together, right, and really unique experiences we've shared.
Yeah.
So you know, when I do get a chance to meet those people that I did share those experiences with again, it is, you know, again, it's not reliving it and the fact that I miss it. It's just reliving it because those are amazing experiences, and you want to talk about it again because you don't. If I talk to my girlfriend about some of this stuff, which I don't tell her everything because I feel like maybe she'd see me in a different way potentially.
Yeah.
She knows most stuff, but in that sense, and like, you know, we haven't discussed everything. Well, yeah. Well, you know, we haven't discussed everything, have we? You know, there's some things we keep to ourselves. But I think going and reliving these sort of moments is really nice for me. Anyway. Like, you know, is at the lower place it did take me to. I think it's taken me to a better place now because of it.
Yeah.
And I think I'm stronger, or much stronger than the majority because of it. But
yeah, definitely. And I think yeah, you're right. It's we were together every day, you know, and I think we did build a very strong connection. And I knew when I left, you know, like when we all sort of went our own separate ways, I knew afterwards that's never going to be taken away from any of us. Do you know what I mean? Those moments we spent, and for good and for bad. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, I'm glad you got in touch with me and you told me you were coming to Copenhagen, because yeah, it was a bit of a, when I seen your name come through on the message, I was like, what's Matt want? Like, I don't know the last time I spoke to Matt. And then I seen that you said you're coming and you want to meet up, and yeah, like I say, it's when I first met you down the road there, we first thing we started doing is sort of talking about the people we traveled with and what we'd done, and reminiscing in it, because yeah, it's you don't have that with anyone else apart from the people you lived it with. So yeah, it's unique. A unique experience again.
You can share all the experiences you want, but to actually relive them is a totally different thing, and you can only relive it with the people that you did it with, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that was the sole reason why, obviously, I came to see. You know, I missed hanging around with you, and you know, like sharing in that like conversation that naturally always came to us.
Yeah.
But I think it's you know, when you do get that chance, I think you kind of need to jump at it as well, because it's important to remember the stuff that we did, and it's easy to forget, isn't it? And you get on with your day-to-day life, and you focus on other places, and you know, memories started coming back to me, even just when I was like messaging you, being like, "Oh, I remember when that happened. I remember when that happened," and you know, it makes
like
puts a smile on your face.
Our weed hotel, wellness retreat.
Oh God knows what that was all about. Maybe one day.
Yeah,
but probably going against our values these days.
No, I'm teetotal now. Teetotal, but doesn't mean I can't open one. But no, it's it's been a pleasure. Thank you for opening up and sharing that with me, or for us. And keep going and just keep taking care of yourself.
Exactly.
I'm sure it'll get better. It always gets better. So.
Oh no, it's better now, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm in an amazing place now. So yeah, like I say, it was not that it was only that point, you know, in that lowest point where it was bad, really, and then those memories around it were exceptional.
Yeah. And is there anything you'd say to anyone that was maybe in the place you were, you know, walking to that bathtub? Like, is there anything you'd say to someone who's struggling? Because obviously you say now it's much better for you, so it can turn around.
Yeah, I think just like hold on to your best self in your head. You know, it's easy for us to get annoyed at ourselves and to forget who we really are as an individual, whether it's that image in your head of playing as a kid, you know, like for me it was always running around in sand dunes, you know, or the relationships that I built when I was traveling, or the achievements that I've, you know, had in whether it's education or in sport or whatever it is. It's, you know, up until that point you've lived probably in a lot of amazing moments, and even though not every single day and that minute is amazing, like you do have those amazing moments, and if you do look back on those and kind of come to the realization of that's how I can be and I have been before, then that's where I can get to again. But it's not an easy thing, it's not a quick fix, and you will kind of fall back into certain aspects of it. But I think if you just kind of keep that goal and set yourself something, and you know, just keep plowing on through, I guess
the days will come.
Yeah. You know, life's tough. Yeah, just roll with the punches sometimes, I guess. Yeah. And exercise. Yeah.
Exercise, diet, consumption.
Yeah, as bad as that sounds to say. Yeah, it just sounds a bit preachy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But honestly, it is. Yeah. Do a little bit of exercise. It does just focus the mind.
That's a wrap. Massive thanks to my man for coming on and sharing his journey. He asked to remain anonymous, and I respect that. It isn't easy sharing your life publicly, but it takes courage to do it either way. I'll definitely be keeping in touch to see how it all progresses, and I really hope he does go ahead with writing that book about his life, because I think it will be incredible. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating and a review. It really helps the show grow. 5 stars would be amazing. But more importantly, make sure to follow on Spotify and keep up with me on socials, TikTok and Instagram @TOMU Podcast. And even more importantly, share this episode with a mate if you think they'd enjoy it. And if you want to come on the show yourself, just drop me a DM or send me an email at tomupodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. And remember, be good to yourself. 3 hours, mate.
Oh shit, sorry.
Don't apologise.